What's up, everybody? Welcome to the CanesInSight Daily Podcast, powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Happy Sunday. It is officially game week. We got a week before Miami goes and takes on Notre Dame at the Rock, getting their first big win of the season. We're getting ready. It's going to be a crazy week. A ton of stuff coming. Hurricane Hype Podcast, all kinds of content. It's going to be a lot to keep up with. I know you guys are hungry, man. It's game week, so we'll keep feeding you as much as we can. But appreciate everybody joining us here on a Sunday. As always, appreciate the support of Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. If you or someone you care about has been injured in an accident, you could be entitled to significant compensation. Now, 1-800-747-FREE, 1-800-747-3733. Take back control of your life with Anajar and Levine. All right, got a new name hopping in, a legendary name, one of my favorite guests every single time, and that is wide receiver coach to the stars, STEVO. STEVO, how we doing?
I'm doing well. Good morning, everybody. Hope you guys are enjoying your Sunday. Like you said, it's game week. We're officially a week away from Hard Rock Stadium, and I think everybody's ready. The talking trash on Twitter is already, in full swing. Everybody's going against each other. Notre Dame's named their quarterback. We know who we're facing. It's go time.
I know you're ready. You're out here in the morning running routes, making sure your route tree is sharp. Are you right now in like the Jerry Rice, like when he had the cornrows and going half bald era, or are you more like, really in your prime years?
I would say I'm probably a slight less top end speed, but I'm a little quicker. My footwork's a little better than it used to be.
Practicing what you preach, man. You're not out there just talking with a belly sticking out and telling them this and that, man. You're putting in the work before you coach.
Yeah, got to get the blood flowing. Got some more sessions coming up. Had some youngins yesterday that really exciting times. A lot of South Florida kids, that 28-29 class is going to be one of those where, South Florida's put back on the map.
Well, for those who don't know, you are a wide receiver coach. You coach 7-on-7s. You worked with a lot of players, on Miami's team and on other squads. So just real quick before we get into some specifics, I want to get to players that you really know a lot about. These are kids you know forever. I remember seeing you in the Florida game last year, and you told me Brower's going to score 3 touchdowns. And sure enough, I saw Fletcher get in there, Jacoby George get in there, Estrepo get in there. So you called that one to the T. But these are guys right? But tell everybody who doesn't know about exactly what you do and your company and everything you work on, where they can find you and what you're about.
So I did make a new page on Instagram _open365 where I focus on just solely training receivers, recruiting as well, because they kind of want to play with some 7-on-7 teams and high school teams, and I can get that connection for them. But also obviously you guys know I break down the film for the Miami Hurricanes, but on the training side, just really one-on-ones or group sessions where we really focus on our technique and getting open. Receivers a work ethic position. That's why I try to tell everybody has a floor. But you can determine how high your ceiling is just by your work ethic. And there's a lot of guys in the Miami receiver room, that have that work ethic. So I'm very happy about that. And if I don't know it, I'm usually seeing them play in high school down here. I'm knowing their trainer. I see these guys at the park working with their own things. And you just really excited about the level of work ethic they have. And, guys like us that try to get that game to the next level. We love kids like that.
And listen, so this is something I talk about a lot, but I'm just, old man sitting here in a room. You're an actual trainer of this position. So to hear from you obviously carries more weight. When you say wide receivers a work ethic position, we talked about Restrepo, right? Not the most, speedy kind of workout setting kind of guy, but he's the guy that on the field, you see all the work he's put in when no one's watching. Talk about Mike Harley, Alan Hearns, Hankerson, just talk about my Canes, Hearns, Barrios, KJ Osborne, right? The guys that have made it out of here, kind of what they do off the field, even in the pros, when you get like a guy like Antonio Brown or T.O., where maybe they have other things going on, but the work part, that's a separator because, right, you don't need helmets and pads to practice wide receiver.
No, it's there's 3 ways to create separation. Your line of scrimmage is with your release, second level avoidance, where you can make sure someone doesn't get hands on you and reroute you, and 3, the top of your route. So people who put the work in and make sure their hands are ready at all times, because you never know when that ball is coming. And I always try to tell my guys, you can't control who the quarterback's throwing it to, right? That's out of your control. But we can get to our windows and increase the probability that he finds us. So like that's what we focus on, because when you don't get the ball, and that's when the body language starts going down and things like that. So I just always try to help them focus on what they can control and just get into the windows as fast as possible, making yourself available, cutting out a lot of this extra stuff that they just want to do because it looks nice, but it's it's counterintuitive.
That's like, Malachi Tony, which we'll talk about here in a second. I always think about his quarterback background. You talk about make yourself available. If you know what it is to be on the other side of that equation, right, you know how to make yourself available and what you don't want to do, right, as far as the extra stuff that doesn't help the quarterback find you.
Yeah, it looks nice. You could have, like, just for an example, let's say that you already have inside leverage and you take a dive release and you're going hard inside. You don't have to do all this at the top. JD trying to make him go in. You have the inside leverage. Just take it. One plant, bam, run across. You have like on a dig and you going inside, you have that leverage. And the quarterback has a couple windows. As soon as you turn the ball head around, that's the first window. Then the second window is behind once you pass the number 2 defender in between the mic, and then so on and so forth. And if it's scramble drill, then yeah, you could end up going all the way to the sideline. But just understanding, get to these windows as fast as possible. So why am I going to be extra? This guy's already given me the inside. Let me just take it. Let me just get in front of my quarterback as fast as possible.
Coach asking, are you going to get breakdown segments on the daily pod now? I know we had a conversation last week, so I don't know what you're ready to share or what, as far as, being your breakdowns being more visible on CanesInSight, on the pod, whatever. You let them know, because for those who don't see it, which a lot of people already do, these are must watches every single time you put them out.
Yeah, so all the game reviews will be on this YouTube channel for the CIS, and also going on the platform, as well as player breakdowns. And I do got some things I have a long list for. I actually just built the new PC. I've been getting ready for this season, so a lot of content coming out. And yeah, so if you guys are tuned in with CanesInSight, you'll be ready to see it.
Wait, so you built the computer?
Well, yeah, it wouldn't turn on at first, and then it's going now. YouTube University, and then I was FaceTiming a friend who's made some.
I didn't know you had that in your bag.
It's like that. I took it to a place to add the Windows thing on it, because you have to pay like $80 or $100 something to do it, and they'll do it for like $50 just for the program. But yeah, gotta expand your horizons.
There we go, man. Got Jane Daniels enthusiast saying, is it bad I'm wearing a Hurricane shirt while walking around West Virginia's campus? There's a lot of, I know like 5 Hurricane fans in West Virginia area. It's crazy. This brand travels, man. So I was going to ask you about some specific players that you've worked with or been around or know people, who train them. But before I even get to that, in terms of preparing for breakdowns, like, is there anything in the hop or anything you've been watching, whether it was Notre Dame side or the Miami side, that you've been doing those deep dives on that you wanted to just kind of expand on before the full video comes out?
So offensive line is going to be getting a video. I don't think our blocking scheme is going to change because Cam Ward is not at quarterback. And so that's something I've been really going back and looking at, our pass protection and our run blocking and things of that nature, because it really started off slow last year, to be honest, the running game. So I was looking at some of the differences that we were seeing early on versus later on, with those Damian Martinez and Fletcher runs and Lyle runs were starting to hit for 8, 9, 20, 50, So that's something I'm going to be definitely looking into. And obviously, versus Notre Dame in the trenches, that's going to be some juicy content, because if we perform like we think we're going to perform, that means that's going to be a great video, and I'll be happy to drop it.
Yeah, man. And we always talk about the splits. People ask about the tight splits. And, what I say, I've talked to more people and kind of gotten confirmation on things I've thought, which is it's about avoiding negative plays. When you avoid negative plays as an offense, the quarterback's life is so much easier. You can do so much more on a 2nd and 6 than a 2nd and 12. And yeah, everybody wants to see those big runs, which, by the way, those big runs happen later in games when we're pounding teams and, they start to wear down. But a stretch play or a toss that goes for -2, that's a drive killer. And drives in this era, especially with offenses getting so good, those lost drives are just poison for your team.
Especially in this era where now, after a first down, the clock's not stopping. There's less possessions, so it's emphasized even more. So negative plays are drive killers. They're almost as equal as a penalty. And it throws off the rhythm, and it gives the defense a little juice, because when they get a negative play, they know this is the opportunity to get off the field. I mean, it just is what it is now. So I think that's going to be something that we avoid. Yeah, I really don't care for not that I don't care. I feel like once the offensive line is at this set, they've been doing it the same way. I don't think that they're going to go, oh, okay, we're going to change our splits going in this. That's why I think that's why I was watching a lot of later in the year tape when we were a lot more successful running the ball. So I think they'll stick to it. I think the splits are just fine. But it really gets down to that type of detail. If you have more athletic linemen, you might be a little wider, because, you might be pooling. You might have these guys on the move. You might be doing those toss plays, getting guys to the second level. If you're more of a, we just got some big boys that don't really got that mobility, then I bet you're going to be a little tighter.
Absolutely. Speaking of big boys, I want to ask you, with some big receivers, guys that you've worked with or been around, big receivers, a lot of times they're the ones that need you the most, right? Because it's about using their body different, about honing their routes and knowing how to use the God-given size, right? And some of the technique. And I know that those are people that you've had a lot of success with, really all sizes. You worked with Restrepo last year. It was 5'9" or whatever. And his banner's going to be right behind you in the IPF. But I wanted to focus on some big guys, starting with Chance Robinson, because Chance Robinson is somebody that I know you know well, guy that really made plays early in his youth career. It was he was on the scene earlier than a lot of these guys we're hearing about now. And when we first got here, we got a lot of questions about him. And then we go to practice, and then he'd be on the bike. So it's like, I can't really comment on his game because he looks good in his uniform, but I don't see him play. Now here, this camp, he's been playing. He's been making plays. He's been getting open. He's been moving the chains, route running better than I expected at his size. What can you tell me about Chance Robinson for all those who have not seen him play, at least since high school?
He played at St. Thomas. My little brother went there. So seeing some of the practice film and seeing him overall, I know his older brother as well. He trained, so I've known him early on in his life because he trained with Goldfeet Global, and same with Restrepo. So definitely the same type of technique emphasis. So I think Chance is really polished. So that's really what sticks out to me the most, that I would want to tell Canes fans. If it wasn't for the injuries, he was probably the most physically ready to play, freshman receiver last year, just because he is built different and he's explosive at that size. He plays with power, a lot of possession ability, but he has that frame that now once he gets this ball, you have to deal with tackling him. That's what separates Chance. He's really hard tackle. And really, really good technique. That's how you can create some separation. Had some hamstring things. Everything's full go. I seen him at Central Park. He was working with Pete from Tight End U. Really, really smooth. One thing about Chance is he's very refined. I don't think he's a guy that we have to focus about him getting in and out of his breaks, or him choosing the right release versus the right press or right coverage. I mean, he's pretty much ready. So I wouldn't doubt all the smoke I've heard about him in camp. Because he's just ready. I mean, he really is. He just got some talented older guys in front of him right now that might be limiting some of the opportunities, but I can imagine that the opportunities he does have, he's making the most of them.
Another one, big guy from Broward, a year younger, but already making waves, healthy. And I mean, the talent is pretty easy to see when talking about just horsepower, body control, much faster than people think. The size is obvious in person. Josh Moore, right, from West Broward. So you've been around him. What's it going to – what does he have, first of all? What's he working with? And what will be that next step that takes him to that first-round type of level that I know a lot of people hope for him?
I remember seeing his sophomore year at West Broward and thinking like, oh, my God, this guy, he might really be an NFL guy. And I don't really make that assumption much just because there's so much time. That's more of a in-college type of thing, unless it's like a, generational guy. But yeah, so I would say excellent ball skills. Like when the ball's in the air, I feel like he's one of the best players to come down with them 50-50 balls. I feel like that's like a known thing, that it's just when 50-50 balls are not 50-50 balls with him. So I think that's just a natural ability, timing of going up in the air. Obviously the physical ability, he's already 6'5" and he can jump out the gym. That helps, but just understanding like meeting the ball at its highest point is different when you're up that high. It's just something that's totally unguardable as a defensive back. Like, what am I supposed to do? This guy's already 6'5" and he's jumping 2-3 feet in the air. Like, like physically, what is that DB supposed to do? Only thing he can do is wait for him to come down and try to play through the hands and knock it out. So very, very great upside. I think that's right there already, like red zone potential where you can see early. But when it comes to maybe what he could do taking forward, I think just continuing to refine everything. Now, such a work at the position. Now you got to understand they're going to play me different. I got to understand how do I adapt week to week, because guys are going to, they're going to probably give me 4 or 5 yards at first. And then once I start making plays, they start making it harder, make me earn it. And then, once I start head topping people, they're going to start putting a safety over the top. So you have to just keep working at your game and revolving it. And I think the best thing with him is he's not heavy footed for being so big. Like, he's not a guy that you hear his plants going into the ground. Like, he's stomping on the ground. And those are the type of guys who get stuck and then don't burst out. So he's not that type of guy. He's light footed. So I think so Kadeem used to run routes and work out with us, was the receiver coach at West Broward. And he would come out there. We've seen him a couple of times in the morning. And he just surprises you by how big he is, but how just quick he is. He's just not slow when he's doing his split releases. His chest is not just exposed to everybody giving him because he's a big platform. He gets low, he could dip, really talented. But I think that'll be his next step, is just continuing to get onto the next level. I mean, I think everybody has heard all the smoke about it, and it's just because when the ball's in the air, he's going to make a play. So that part of his game is already there, which is probably one of the most important parts if you're a freshman trying to get on the field, continuing to show, hey, if you give me a chance, I'm going to make a play. But it does get a little bit harder on Saturdays.
Yeah, no, he's much twitchier in person than people think. He does backflips and stuff. He can jump out the gym like that. He's not a lumbering kind of dude, even though you see him and you're like, all right. Even if he was lumbering, he's still going to make some plays. Just seeing him in person, I think the horsepower, at least from my perspective, is the big surprise being around him. By the way, we're talking about some big receivers, some big corners, man. You wore the sleeveless. You had to show off the guns a little bit here to people, man. So I see you making a statement out there.
Got to, man. It's hot out here.
That's good, man. Now listen, big receivers, talk about some big corners. And I think this week I've been really pushing. People ask me for my hot takes, and the hottest take I have, I think it's a hot take, is I really think our corners are not just going to be much improved over last year. I think they're going to contend to being the best in the country, legitimately. And that's my perception from camp. We got to see it against other teams. Some of these guys have played on other teams, so you've seen it then. But I just think the size, the skill of these guys, and let's go with 3 Broward guys that you know to varying degrees, which Ethan O'Connor be in the mix, right, from California, Brandley from Venice, but OJ Frederique, Xavier Lucas, teammates at Deerfield Beach before going their separate ways, and then Damari Brown from Heritage. Just walk me through, number one, what these guys bring to the table, and then you from a receiving coach when you're dealing with 200. I think all 3 of these guys are getting close to that 2.
Yeah.
Maybe OJ's a little further, but not really. He looks pretty big when I see him. So when you're dealing with a guy that's got that 2 on, and their size at a corner position and 6+, just how difficult it can be, assuming they have the athletic ability as well.
Well, we'll go in order, I think. So we'll go with Damari Brown. I think he was the first one. He played at Heritage, seen him plenty of times. He was always that man, big body corner. But now he is a man, big body corner. When you see his arms, you're like, yo, he's going to jam you to the sideline. He just looks physically imposing. He looked great, leading into that Florida game, then got hurt. But during that time, from that injury to now, he looks jacked. He really looks like he missed football so much, and the only thing he could do was work out with the strength coach, and he took full advantage of it, because that's just the only way you have that type of body transformation. He really took it serious and already had the athletic ability. Obviously, there's a time where his brother transferred in, and he was able to outpace his brother in camp and then on the field. So that just shows he's the type of jump he can make. Very physical, athletic guy. He played with the best of them. JoJo, JJ, guarded them in high school. Everybody that you've seen out of, Broward County, Miami-Dade County in the last 4 years, they've guarded. So great for Damari Brown to be healthy. I think that's great for the competition because he's also a really good tackler. I don't think people understand how big that is on the edge to consistently tackle.
He might be the hardest hitter on the team. At least he was last year. That's talking to people. That was what people have said. That's what I saw. Obviously, he didn't get to show it last year because he was hurt. I'm glad you talked about that because, like, every time I talk about Damari Brown, I got to be like, man, are they going to hit me with a no diddy or something like that when I'm explaining how big this dude is? But, like, it's a different kind of frame at corner. I can't think. I mean, the way I described it is if you shrunk David Njoku like a couple inches, I mean, that's what we're talking about at corner. That's the type of physicality that we're dealing with.
Yeah, like physical freak. I mean, it is what it is. Like this would have got him drafted in like the 90s, like 2000s, like legit just come out the shirt and they would have been like, oh my God, first round. But yeah, no, it's really impressive. And it just hat off to his hard work because you don't get that type of frame and body without putting in the work.
So another big corner who's really gained weight, right? We saw him last year, OJ Frederique. I think this guy's got a chance to be one of the best corners in America. Obviously, Leonard Moore for Notre Dame is one of those that you're put in that category as well, same class. But OJ Frederique, I thought he was incredible last year. Obviously, natural man ability, the size, the length, the ball skills as a receiver. Ran down that running back for Georgia Tech, who was a track star himself. So he's got all that. Syracuse got big boyed a little bit as a true freshman. And I don't know if he took it to heart, but seeing him around, his arms look bigger. He's not quite Damari, but he's gained some serious weight, and he's moving just as well as he did before. Breaking on the ball more, seems a little more confident. I mean, how high can OJ Frederique get? What kind of upside we're talking about with this guy?
I mean, that's first round ability. I remember this time last year telling people, hey, don't be surprised if OJ, shakes up the corner room competition. And I picture him starting out the gate? No, but I mean, I'm not surprised. I mean, seeing him at Deerfield Beach, he was the best player on the team. And when you're the best player on Deerfield Beach, that means you're playing multiple positions. He was playing quarterback, receiver, corner, safety, every running back, everything you could think of. Went to St. Thomas, had some inside scoop on his development there because my brother went there. But, really focused on corner. Earl Little is the cornerback coach over there, DB coach over there. For y'all know, he does a good job with them kids. So did a really good job with OJ. And he trains with Gold Feet Global, TA. I've seen OJ for a long time when he focuses on corner. It's blanket ability. His quickness is there. His long speed is there. The swagger is there. I think he took Syracuse personal. Not that I've heard this come out of his mouth, but I'm pretty sure he did, because that was his welcome to college moment. It just happened way later in the season than most freshmen. They usually have that welcome to college moment, in camp and then one in the first couple of games. But, he had his, the last game of the year.
And one thing with him and really all the guys we're talking about today, most of the guys on the team, and I've noticed this more being around them. You don't really hear it's college. There's a million things that come up, but you don't hear that kind of like those whispers, right, about this or that behavior wise. It seems like with the level they're recruiting at, we're talking about guys that are on point, very professional in their approach. You talked about Damari working on his body, OJ doing his thing. You're around these kids more than me. I'm just kind of more hearing and being on the sideline. It sounds like we just recruited a higher, I'll say a higher level of kid, but just a higher level of professionalism as young men. I don't know if you're seeing that same thing being on the field and working with these dudes.
I mean, just from not the outside looking in, but just a glance in when you talk to some of their trainers or when you see the body change. I mean, yeah, it takes a professional athlete mentality to say, nah, I'm not going to eat that McDonald's right now at 2 a.m. and this, that. It takes discipline, mental discipline to get those frames. It's not just, oh, they're killing it in the gym. No, they're taking that nutrition plan, seriously. I think that's the one thing Canes fans, they're going to glance over because it's all about football. So they're going to think how they're training outside and how, they're competing in camp and working in practice. Yeah, that's all part of it. But the main part is that nutrition. What are they putting into their body? And just to see the type of transformations they've made, there's just no other explanation other than, hey, they're taking that nutrition seriously because they're not cheating. You could tell.
One other guy who I think he's got to I don't think he has to lose weight because he looks great, but he's he's fighting that battle. He's not trying to go up. He's probably trying to maintain, or stay down, which is Xavier Lucas, because he's just so naturally big. But man, the combination of the size and the speed, it's incredible to watch. And one thing with him is I know you've heard, because I've heard it since he was in high school. Is he a safety, right? Is he a corner? What have you seen from Xavier Lucas, and from a receiver perspective, a guy that maybe, he's not going to be as fluid as a 5'9" Asante Samuel Jr. That's just the reality of physics. But a guy that maybe has a little bit of tightness, but runs a 4.3 and is 200 plus pounds and has length as well, 6 foot plus. What problems does that present as a receiver?
It's a lot of problems, because if you want to get vertical, you have to win within the first 5 to 7 yards, because you got to stack him, or else he's going to come use that 4.3 speed and make a play on the ball, because he has really long arms. So, yeah, he might not have the wiggle of a smaller corner, but that doesn't mean he doesn't have ability to get in and out of his breaks. So he's going to be on you. So if you're going against a type of corner like that, you understand your release has got to be on point, because when he has long arms, he's going to shoot, and he has recovery speed. So he has no reason not to shoot his hands. So that's the problem he presents, because of his physicality and long frame. I've known about Lucas for a long time. Coach Macho, if you guys are on the board, you guys know Coach Macho. He coached him at Deerfield. And then,
CanesInSight.com message board legend. The only one that actually knows what he's talking about. Everybody else is pretending to be the coach.
Yeah, man. Coach Macho, that's my boy. Shout out to him over there now at MacArthur. He knew about Xavier Lucas, heard about him and that was the conversation where he was like, hey, he's a big corner. Everybody wants to throw him at safety. We get it. But that elite speed is better locking down one side of the field. And it went to Dillard. And I remember my little brother, they played Dillard, every time Soul Bowl when he was at Ely. And I remember seeing him. He was guarding the player I trained, Marcel Williams, who's at Akron now. And that battle was great. And I just loved the competitiveness of it. And he was still raw at the position. And it just looked the part. And just, I know when he transferred over to American Heritage and Miami got more eyes on him, I feel like they figured out that question, hey, is he a corner or is he a safety? And I feel like that's when you saw the heat picking up on him, because they finally committed to him, maybe on their board being that corner. And then, he went to Wisconsin and, he proved them right and came home. And I think that's going to be huge. He's probably going to be, around that heavier side for a corner. But so is Tyreek Stevenson, and they can make plays.
Yeah, I want to ask you again, elaborate on that, because people always talk about these kind of guys, these bigger corners. Are they safeties? Are they corners? And a lot of the guys that have lasted for a long time in the NFL, I'm thinking about Artie Burns, still hanging around. He got hurt recently, but I mean, he's been hanging around, and he has some tightness to him a little bit too. He's not the most fluid guy at the position. Mike Jackson, I remember there was always that safety corner talk. He got turned around a lot early in his career. Some of the transition stuff hurt him, and then obviously he's starting like however many years into his career still. Tyreek Stevenson, is he a nickel? Is he a safety? Is he a corner? DJ Ivey, they're trying to throw away to FCS, and obviously he's still making plays, or he is making plays, and looking like he's going to make the team again here and continue to get those NFL checks. So it's like those guys seem to last, whereas Cornelder, who was a hell of a player for us, unbelievable, has a little harder time sticking around. And Brandon Harris, who again All-America for us, has maybe a little harder time sticking around. So the NFL obviously prioritizes these big guys. You, from a receiver perspective, would you rather go against a big guy that maybe has a little bit of stiffness but can run, or like one of these short, quick movers, 5'9", 5'10" dudes, as fluid as can be, all of that, great instincts, but maybe you can big boy him if you have a bigger receiver?
I'd rather go against the bigger corners, because a lot of those times, the NFL tends to those bigger corners, because you have to guard these Jamar Chases, the Malik. You have to guard these big, athletic, crazy receivers, the Megatrons over the years, where that's just, you have to. You can't live with a 5'10", corners on the outside, even though you have them in like the Darius Slays of the world. But those are few and far between, because they're special talents and they're excellent at poking the ball out as that big receiver's coming down. But as a smaller receiver, you want to, I think, it's better for, that matchup. So you can use your shiftiness just to create separation. And then what you can do after the catch, that's on you. If you're going against someone who, it's more fluid, some of that route running, and your thing is that, you might you might get that reception, but they might be right on you to make that tackle. You know, a bigger guy who's not going to be able to get in and out of his breaks that time might give you an extra yard or two to make some plays after the catch.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. But from Miami perspective, if you're looking at like who we got to play, right? You're playing against Notre Dame, and they got a 215-pound receiver in Greathouse.
Yeah,
they got 223 in field. So for this particular matchup, I think the size is going to be, and you think of Syracuse last year, which obviously that one hurt us, but we can't play that game again. But playing against Notre Dame, I'm glad we got some size for this particular matchup, right, for the reasons you said.
Yeah, and for predicting matchups against Clemson and these big guys in the playoffs and the ACC championship, you need them. But I think the difference is, this year we have those guys to go out there. Yeah, week 1 versus Notre Dame, we have the size. But also, if we go and play ACC teams, which we know are loaded with undersized receivers that explode, and we have those Brantleys, we have the O'Connors that have that twitchiness in that size. I feel like the whole DB room just complements that. So, this game is going to be big for, big corners. But as we continue to have different matchups, I think that's the biggest difference that fans will notice is we have those twitchier corners as well as the size.
Yeah, no, definitely. And we got nickels too, right? We have a whole different room for nickels, which we didn't necessarily have last year. I know Daryl Porter, a guy you've watched forever. I thought, and by the way, he might make the Steelers or at least get a chance to get into the NFL here. I thought Porter got a bad rap last year because he really was a good outside corner, but we had to move him to nickel, right? I mean, that's at least how I perceived it from the outside.
Yep.
Knowing it's different to have because you train guys that work mostly in the slot as well. Like going against a nickel and having that skill set to play nickel and playing outside. In a perfect world, you got what we have this year, which is NFL type prototypes at both spots as opposed to moving guys around.
Well, the main difference also is playing slot corner is hard. On the outside, it's you have that sideline there, but mostly it was playing slot corner for a defense that was figured out. And most of the time he was just running himself out of the play. So not only did we take one of our best outside corners out of position, he was literally just yo-yoing all day with these motions, and they'll just dump it here or fake the dump and just throw it right to the space he vacated. It was really that Louisville tape from a couple years ago circulated, and that's how everybody attacked Miami. And that's USF, to their credit, I mean, think about the game. People were talking about Daryl being so terrible, and I'm just like, look, this guy's having a full speed running head start across the line of scrimmage, and Daryl has to run around his linebackers. Like, of course he's going to get a step or two on him. Like, it's just we didn't adapt. So I think that's tough when you ask a true outside corner to get inside. And I know he's a smaller corner, so a lot of people just go, oh, hey, he could play nickel because he's 5'9", but I mean, he really is talented on the outside. I mean, think about what he's doing right now. And for the Steelers, I mean, he's not really getting as much snaps inside because, hey, in the NFL, that's a different frame. You got to make these tackles on 225 running backs and fill, run fit. So, they're going to leave him outside. So I think, defensive scheme and, player fit is for the nickel. You can't just assume because the guy's tiny for a cornerback position that he's a slot guy.
Studio Live saying, inspired by CanesInSight, he called Anajar Levine. They referred him to A. Paul, man. Hope your situation gets resolved as best as possible, man. I appreciate you and all you do for the show. Johnny Lagoon says, I'm hungover as hell at the Nashville airport, waiting to get back to Miami. My medicine is CIS Live. This is needed. Yeah, Johnny Lagoon got a shout out on our commercial for the Lickin', which, by the way, game day, Sunday, we'll be at the Lickin' all day probably. I'll be recording shows out there, eating good. If you guys want to stop by, say what's up. That's the official CanesInSight pre-party right there, about 5-10 minutes from the stadium, the Lickin' Miami Gardens. You ever been to the Lickin' up there?
No, but we got a couple in Broward that I've been to.
How was it?
Good. I'm a chicken tender and fries guy, so it's a good spot for me.
There we go, man. So listen, Sunday we'll be out there. Steve, if you're in the neighborhood before the game, roll through. We're out there recording shows, having some fun. So yeah, as people always ask, where's the CanesInSight tailgate? Where's the CanesInSight pre-party? Right across from the stadium, the Lickin' Miami Gardens. We'll be out there pretty much all day, recording shows, hanging out, eating good before heading into the stadium to watch Miami take care of Notre Dame. So Steve, you got 1,100 on here live, on a Sunday. Just when you drop the STEVO in the thread title, people tend to show up there. But I wanted to ask you about a player that I've been talking about nonstop since camp started because he's been making plays every day. So I was given no choice. If I'm being real about what I'm seeing, I have to talk about this guy. And that's Bryce Fitzgerald, member of Raw Miami, which I know you spent some time coaching with last year. We talked about him a bunch. The question was always kind of where he plays, and we'll still figure that out because you gotta see it under the lights. But I think, and I say that I don't say this lightly, but seeing him here, I mean, I think he's the best athlete on the entire team. We talk about movement, the horsepower, like pure speed. He's got that. Track guy, the change of direction, fluidity. He's got that. I mean, he looks like he's going slow motion out there, and then a coordination to get the ball. And then when the ball's in his hands, he's an offensive player. So put that all together. He's 190 pounds, 6 foot probably. I think he's the best athlete on the team. Maybe Josh Moore. I don't know. So I mean, what do you think about all that?
I remember telling everybody that it was going to be probably like a few weeks or months before everybody says, hey, Bryce is the top athlete on the team. And it's just true because he was playing both ways for us. He was putting, 4 and 5 star guys on the sideline that were pretty mad that we weren't subbing them in because Bryce was out there. And it just makes total sense. I mean, he's one of the best athletes that I've seen in person. Just make plays on the football. He has just incredible ball skills, like just born to just snatch it out of the air. Really is talented on offense, talented in a lot of ways. Had some upside at corner if they wanted to put him there. Just in case they didn't, because his strongest suit was, wasn't tackling. So there was that discussion of whether they wanted to do corner or safety, but he showed up. And his ball skills are crazy. I think when you talk about range, I don't think you could say anybody in South Florida has had more range than him in recent years. I mean, he is juiced up. He can get from the hash to the sideline in 3 and 2. He can just literally cover the entire field. I've seen him speed turn and get to the other side in the 2, which is just crazy. Just because he's just reading the quarterback's eyes. Picked this off. I saw him live last year versus St. Thomas. Picked this off pretty nice. Came off the hash. I knew it was coming. I seen it. I knew it was coming, man. And he read that thing like a book, and he came across and he took it all the way back. And I was just like, yep, that's Bryce. I knew he shouldn't have threw that, man. And just incredible ball skills. When I talk about Canes family, like it's not glazing. It's just real. It's realistic. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen him drop a pass. And like, I'm talking about blades of, snatching the nose of the football, like inch away from blades of grass, diving, OT7 one hand touchdowns. I mean, he is just really good at catching the football, big hands. A lot of people be like, why do the NFL care about this type of stuff? Is you don't care about the hands because them things could just grip those things out of the air.
He's not small, period. I mean, he's not like a guy you look at and say this is a smallish dude. I mean, he's not like Sean Taylor, but he's not. There's not small.
No, he's not. He's compact. He's well built. He doesn't have a frame where you're like, oh, this guy needs to put on this amount of weight to play. He has a frame where it's just like, okay, like how many reps is he getting? Is he ready? Like, because physically he's ready. I mean, he's 185, 190. That's a freshman safety size all day.
We got some comments here about if Fitzgerald's similar to Amon Richards athletically. It's an interesting comp because I never really would have comped them because they played different positions. Richards played DB in high school too. Richards is a taller guy. But, I do see some similarities in that Amon Richards was like, you didn't look like he was moving that fast. And then everybody's kind of in the dust. I'd see a little bit of that too, the smoothness. Richards also had pretty big hands too. So it's not like a 1-to-1, but that's an interesting comp but from the comments as far as just like some guys just kind of make it look just a little easier, right? And it's not easy, but look at the ground they're covering and what they're doing. It's like, oh man.
Yeah, I would say that they're really nice striders. They cover a lot of ground with each stride. And when you have quick feet on top of that, it speeds up that process. So that's how you have that illusion that they're not moving fast, but they're galloping, basically. That's why that term like a gazelle is out there because, these guys literally are galloping when they have that quick feet and long stride. So there's definitely similarities there. But just Bryce is a little shorter. And I think Amon with that extra height was just a little linkier. But when it comes to it, I mean, just both premium athletes. I mean, you guys seen what Amon Richards did for us. I mean, that's the type of athlete he was. So definitely similar talent wise when it comes to what God blessed him with.
Yeah, by the way, shout out to Mon Richards. I think we might have him on this week, aiming for Tuesday. He's always got great analysis. We're bringing out the All-Stars this week. We had to. That's why we're starting the week with STEVO right here. We had to bring out the All-Stars. Appreciate you, Birdstone. Yeah, smash that like button. It's free. D-Money and STEVO. Shout out to the villain. Shout out to Streeter. Probably bring him on too, man. We got to bring on all the All-Stars out here for Notre Dame week. A lot of people asking, hey, you got to take STEVO to Islas Canarias. A lot of Islas Canarias talk. So it's the right time to talk about our friends at Islas Canarias in the dining pavilion right there in the heart of Miami. Look at that menu. Steve, you're part Puerto Rican, right?
Yeah, I'm Puerto Rican.
Yeah, so you got some of this stuff on the menu, not all of it, right? What's the crossover? What do you recognize on this menu? I know you grew up down here, so you've been around Cubans plenty. What's catching your eye right here? You got the whole.
I love Cuban food. Banco and steak, steak sandwiches. That's my go-to. The fritas sandwiches, I'm going for them. The croquetas, I'm with all that. Probably the most Spanish I know is food.
You didn't have Spanish girlfriends up there, or Spanish speaking girlfriends up there? Like you never picked it up. You never got the.
Yeah, well, that's the problem. They do it for me, and I'm just there. I just let them know what I want. My girl's Puerto Rican and Dominican, so she does all the ordering for me.
There it is. There, you got it covered, man. So you got to take her to Islas Canarias right there. Next time you're in Dade County, right there in the Dayland Pavilion, next to University of Miami, #1 Cuban spot on the planet. I promise. Coach Jenko will tell you, man. He went there. He was here for a baseball tournament. Went to Islas Canarias and got the real deal. So he knows what time it is. So yeah, man. Although I know you're trying to stay a receiver, you're trying to keep your speed out there. So you gotta monitor your portions. We're not as young as we used to be, just burning this stuff off, man. You're talking professionalism.
Yep, it's a different body adjustment for sure. Putting them cookies and milk down. I used to be a cookies and milk connoisseur. No more.
Birds don't say I miss those commit breakdown videos, bro. Bring them back. You're the man. Yeah, I mean, honestly, all your stuff, because it's crazy. Because I like to talk about receivers with you just because you have such a unique perspective. But the truth is, you do breakdowns on. You're talking about the trenches a little coming up. You do breakdowns on every position, man. So, yeah, I mean, people love what you do on that front, and yeah, I definitely like hearing about it. You know, talk about some running backs actually, since we're talking about different positions, which is. 2 guys from Broward. They're going to lead our running game this year. Marty Brown's going to do his thing as well. It's going to be more of a 3-headed monster than people think, but you got to start with Jordan Lyle, Mark Fletcher, 2 different types of backs. You know, I always compare Fletcher kind of like that Alonzo Highsmith, where he's a great runner. He can block. He's just physically a dominant player, size-wise and physicality-wise. Just not every team has a guy like that. And then Jordan Lyle's kind of like, to me, that NFL runner, like big play, but can also go between the tackles, can pass protect also. So what do you see from those 2 Broward guys, and how much you think they can impact our team this year?
Yeah, so I mean, Jordan Lyle, that's the guy you heard a little bit about, or at least from me. And then when my little brother's team, Ely, played them in the state finals, and he ran for like 200, and he's running everybody over, stiff arm into the ground, spin moving, burning down the sideline 90. And these are kids that I knew and I trusted. That a lot of them are there's 2 right now in Power 4 and 1 in G5 technically at Oregon State and Harlem. But there were some dudes on that roster, and they could not handle Jordan at all. I mean, I was looking up appalled. I was on that sideline like, oh my God, all the lies I've told. Life was coming at me fast because they just kept handing it to 25. And everybody on the side like, who the heck is 25? And I'm like, yo, that's Jordan Lyle, bro. I didn't know he was that good. Like they're looking at me like, yo, Steve, who is this guy? And I'm just like, yo, I did not know. And then he followed it up with his senior year, man. I was at that Monarch game where he had 5 rushing touchdowns, and he was sitting at the end. I mean, physically just imposing. I mean, he's going to break your arm. You try to arm tackle him. I mean, he's going to punish your forearms if you just dive out there like that. Like, oh my God, he's a train for sure. And it's just because he has so much kinetic energy with that speed when he on impact, man, that is tough. That is tough. I feel for safeties having to come and fill in that alley. And that's why you saw it last year as a freshman. Safeties weren't successfully coming and filling that alley, man. He is coming with so much velocity and great pad level that he is running through you. I mean, I don't think I seen him make so much cuts last year because he was just running through people. I mean, bouncing off tackles. I mean, I remember when I dropped his film review, my biggest like plus side for him is his contact balance. he is running so hard and hitting people with so much force, but he is not getting rattled. He keeps his feet. He's able to continue to move forward. It really separates him. I think that's an NFL ability, to be honest, contact balance. That's how those guys make long careers, because they're able to continue to stay up and turn out more yards. That's how you get to your second contract in the NFL. I think he has it in spades. I mean, he's a Mack truck with a Ferrari engine, whatever you want to say, V12. He could fly, but his contact balance is scary. I would hate to have to come up and fill that hole every time versus, Jordan Lyle. And then again,
before we get to Fletcher, just talk about Lyle. One thing I think we're going to see this year at some point is everybody thinks it's blown dead, right? Everybody's acting like it's blown dead, and he's never touched the ground. He's spinning off and going 40 or 50 or something, right? I mean, you've seen him do that before.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the amazing contact balance. So the player that went for like 95 yards versus us at Ely is he there was a DN that got in there, another, a G5 guy at Western Michigan right now, had his hands on him. Lloyd, great player, and had his hands on him, and a stiff arm was just you couldn't stiff arm him to the ground, but just enough to disengage that and then run a corner off and then just zoom down the sideline. Like, it happened so fast. It was over. Like, we pinned them down with a punt. We were up, 7-0. We were feeling good about ourselves. Oh, we got a tackle for loss coming, a negative play. No, you don't. You got 95 yards to the house down our sideline. And it was just like, oh my God. He does that. He makes plays that you would, as a football player, think, oh, this is a dead play. Oh, this is done. Just pull out the Houdini act, because it's just generational contact balance, and he's never out of it.
And then Mark Fletcher, you're about to get to I think I'm a big Mark Fletcher fan. Like, I mean, everybody's a Mark Fletcher fan, but I'm like an extra Mark Fletcher fan just because, I know a lot of fans, they're used to the Frank Gores and the Portises, and they're like, I want that guy juking everybody out going 80. And it's like, yes, obviously I want that too. If Flint Portis wants to be on the Canes, sign him up. But, you look at Alabama, you look at Georgia, Michigan, they would all kill for a guy. Ohio State, they would kill for a guy like a Mark Fletcher, because that physicality, and when you know him being around them, when you're up on him, this is one of the biggest dudes, just like frame wise there is. And then the intangibles and what he brings, you're going to win games, whether he's running people over, whether he's blocking, pass protecting, you're going to win games with Mark Fletcher on your squad.
Yeah, I've been on Mark's radar for a long time. That's one of my boy Stevie B's cousins, and played with my brother, a real close member of the family. And then they've been singing that praise for a long time, and the smoke went from the family to the city to now, on a bigger scale at Miami. But yeah, physically imposing. I remember when he was on Heritage with my little bro Kia, just wearing 27, just running everybody over as a freshman, and everybody's like, yo, who is this guy? And then just boom, that just exploded. And I think one thing people also forget is he's a complete back. He can pass protect and he can catch. He can catch that ball one-handed if you want to. Another guy with those big mitts, really good hands. Heritage used it a little bit more as his I want to say senior year. He got a lot more, catches, but he has great hands. So if they ever want to explore that aspect of his game more at Miami, it's just more for a defensive coordinator to have to deal with. And again, thinking about you're a safety, you're a corner, like you got to tackle this guy. He is 225 chiseled. Like, he's not a 225 because maybe he's cheating, he's getting some mozzarella sticks from Denny's, or he's at Chili's or whatever, or he's at, wherever they go at nowadays. That's just not happening. I mean, he's just physically ready. Like, every snap, you're going to have to give your all to not get ran over.
He has to work backwards. He's like Lucas. Like, if he wanted to be 240, I feel like he'd be 240 in a couple months.
Yeah, well, good thing he's not.
No, he's the right way for him. But I'm saying, like you said, he's not one of these, muscle hamsters that's just like they're popping out of their frame because they're too muscled up. Like, he's if he's at 225, he's going to the beach. You know what I mean? Like, he's cutting down as opposed to building up.
Yeah, for sure. Really defined muscle traits, and that's really what you've seen out of these Miami players recently. It just happens to be that, this strength and conditioning program is what it is, but the nutrition side of it is there, and just the seriousness of the players taking them. Like, you can take a horse to the water, you can't make it drink, right? So that's like the big thing. That's how a lot of these guys that come in college with so much hype, how they fall off is because they're not ready to prepare and work the way and make the sacrifices that these guys have to make it to the level and dreams that they want to make it to. So when you see these type of transformations, body types, like, you just got to understand the hard work that really goes into it, the mental discipline to say no. One of the biggest things is drinking alcohol. Beer belly. That's why they call it beer belly. A lot of these guys, you got to cut that soda, all that stuff that people love. Got to cut it, man.
Well, listen, you give me a transition. So you threw the alley oop. I had to talk about my boys at Buzzin because I cut alcohol out myself and life changing, man. 7.5 milligrams of real THC infused seltzer. If you're trying to cut back on alcohol, you still want that buzz. You still want to have something cold and fizzy here on these Florida days. Buzzin. Go drinkbuzzin.com. That's drinkbuzzn.com. It's going to be in pretty much stores across South Florida real soon, or you can get it right now. I'm going to crate shit to my house. Check out the mail every day. I keep saying it. I'm going to be first show I get them, I'm going to be drinking them. But drinkbuzzn.com. 7.5 milligrams of THC. All no hangover, lab tested, real fruit flavor. I'll be toasting one of these with you here when we beat Notre Dame. But yeah, Buzzin', man. It's a lot easier on the calories too, because that's alcohol, man. Especially athlete. I mean, I'm just trying to not look fat, on TV, but just in general, that can slow you down, man. So you gave me the segue. I had to throw it up there when you gave me that one. But I know you'll be toasting that one with me when we beat Notre Dame.
Yeah,
I'll get you a can.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, definitely a way to celebrate it, and it'll be a marquee win.
So, player I want to talk about, Broward, that you know about, who's generating some buzz, no pun intended, but this is somebody who I think maybe didn't get – he was a 4-star. He had all the big schools after him, Georgia, Michigan, you name it, but I don't think he got the hype necessarily. I don't know, because Ben Hanks and other guys were in the mix. But Chris Ewald, who has been ready to play since the second he got here in camp in spring, has been generating buzz really since winter, since January when he really first got here. I've been hearing about him. The technique, the how well schooled he is. He kind of reminds me, different body type, but like he reminds me of how Daryl Porter was as far as like just the way he goes about things. Now he's being trained as a nickel from the beginning, so he might be more of that nickel than Porter, who kind of came into it late. But I don't know, I get that feeling from him.
Yeah, elite footwork. So obviously Chris has been on the scene starting as a freshman since Chaminade. And I remember seeing them live when he was guarding Ray. And when he, went 1 for 5, and the one that Ray caught down the sideline, Chris tipped it, and Ray just made a great play on it. I mean, just the reason why you have that comp with Daryl is because their footwork is so great that they're always in position, because they're not. Yeah, technician is the way. Just the footwork is so clean, smooth at the top of the route. They're able to go. With some of these great receivers, the way we teaching it, we're getting out in 3 steps, and a great DB only needs 1. And that's what they have. They have that fluidity. They have that just natural good footwork. And one of the things with Daryl is he was so successful as an outside corner is because with that footwork, he was able to wall off receivers from even trying to get to their vertical phase. And that's just really, really good as an outside corner, because guess what? Outside receivers, a lot of that time they're going deep. They're going, even if the ball is not supposed to go to them, it's just to, get coverage that way, whether it's a post or a 9. And they're flying down. I mean, Chris Ewald just has that really, really, really exceptional footwork where if they put him at nickel and that's where it is, he'll just have to make sure he, prepares that frame for the toll that's going to take, because, hey, you got run fits, my boy. So that's probably going to be his growing thing. But when it comes to technique and coverage ability, I mean, just natural, sticky man coverage corner. I saw him in spring make a couple plays, and the plays that were made against him was, a crazy diving play from like Moore. But, it's just really, really, really high floor with him. And then the ceiling could go as high as it can with his ability to adapt that nickel. And I think that's a guy who might start off at nickel because of the log jam at corner right now. But eventually when some of these guys aren't here no more, and then we're recruiting some of these guys, and he says, hey, I want a chance at outside, I think that will work out really well for him.
Yeah, and Jabari Antoine's another one that's been doing good on the outside. But with Ewald, I think he's gained like 15, 20 pounds. He's gained weight since he came in skinny. He's gained weight up to 175. I think there's probably 10 more pounds in there at least. We get to 185 with him, I think we could talking about even a whole nother level. But one thing he does well at nickel that want to ask you about, because it doesn't get talked about a lot, is, it's one thing to line up in one-on-ones and you're running down the field with guys, they're running a go route, you're running with them, whatever. The ability to diagnose things quickly in a real game where they're throwing screens, they're doing all these kind of things. And it's not just, the flashy one-on-one run with guys thing. He does that really well. At least he's done that really well since he's been here. How much of a difference in terms of actually going from camp all-star to corner that wins you games on a football field with pads on? How much of a difference does it make to be able to see things quick and react?
Especially at the nickel position. Guess who quarterbacks are reading in that RPO? So just off of that, just in that perspective, Canes fans, think about that. What is a quarterback pulling, and who is he looking at? Whether he's deciding, hey, I'm going to pull this and try to throw that slant and, get him for 80 yards for a tutty, or I'm going to hand this ball off. So being able to, diagnose quickly is a huge factor of being an inside corner. And it's not why it's just, because he's a small guy, we're going to put him inside. He's going to obviously be quick. No, like, you have to have that ability. That's what Coach Saban, his favorite part of his defense was that star position. That was the most crucial, is because that is the only position where you have to go more off instincts than technique. At first, like, it is instincts, whether I'm stepping up for this run fit or I see this guy slipping behind me. And then those are the plays, when you read it right, that's a pick six. That's a pick six. When you're coming in the slot and you're diagnosing the RPO and the quarterback makes that decision to let it rip, and you've seen it the whole way, that's going to the crib.
In terms of, put your defensive coordinator hat on, because again, I like to focus with you on some of these things, but you have a very wide approach. You do a lot of things on your content as far as schematics and all that. So put your defensive coordinator hat on right now. Do you prefer having a nickel, like, as the base, a nickel that is that big nickel? Like, let's say you mentioned Nick, like those star, like a big guy, right? Who they had last year, the Malachi Moore, I'm saying the name right? Like or like let's say Brian Branch. Branch, use a perfect example, who's maybe a 4.6, 4.5 runner, but big. The run fits are not as much of a problem. He can cover as well. Or like having like a legit nickel that is corner all the way, cover first. They have the instincts and they can tackle and stuff like that, but they're not over 200 pounds. Like, which one do you prefer having in your scheme as the base?
I'm going for the latter. Because as long as you said it once, I was just waiting for you to check it off. Can they tackle? Then okay, yeah, then I'm all for it. Because I just, especially in our conference, if we were in the Big Ten or the SEC, I probably would have a different answer for you guys, to be honest. But think about the ACC, the Malik Washingtons. Like, we have slot receivers, Restrepo's, Jacoby George. The ACC, we get more playmakers that are undersized that didn't go to the SEC or Big Ten, where it's more of like a NFL model where they want that size and speed. We have a lot of undersized playmaking demons in the ACC from the South. There's a lot of those type of talents that are out there. So I think my answer would be, if I was DC for Miami, you just have to have that more, I guess, a guy that got a lot of heat but was better than a lot of people actually could know, is Corey Couch at nickel for us. I mean, he was solid for a lot of times. And I mean, everybody would just point at the mistakes the most, but there was just so much things within a game where he was able to, help us, assist us. Once he cleaned up the tackling and give you all that, but once the tackling got better, I mean, that's just what you need, especially in this type of conference.
Yeah, I was going to say it to Corey Couch. I think he's got a chance. I think he's like maybe a practice squad or like bottom of the roster candidate. I want to say he's with the Bills. I saw his name pop up on Twitter recently. But yeah, I was exactly going to use that exact example of somebody who is the other type, just the pure nickel. We're in the middle a little bit because Keontae Scott is a nickel all the way and he can run and all that. But man, he's not that small. He's bigger than Couch. He's like 190 something. So if that goes well, that'll be a nice fit right there, because you get some of the size and physicality. He's an older player, but he's also got the speed to run with guys, and he can turn and all that. Real quick, backing up. Go ahead.
That's the best of both world guy, because you see the punt return ability, so you just see the natural athleticism. So for at that size, that's like what you would want. But those are unicorns.
Backing up here, big picture. We got Notre Dame this week. I don't know if we'll have you on before the game, so we'll do it right now. Just how do you see this one going? What are you watching for on next Sunday?
I see this one going our way. I'm big. Hard Rock Bet has already received my we were plus 110. I said thank you. They've already received my little initial bets. I feel like this is a game where we need a sellout for the run, and that new DB room needs to prove themselves. I think this is the time to show Canes Nation this is different. where we've addressed what hindered us last year and literally held us out of the playoffs. So I think that's just too much for CJ Carr. I think if the DBs, hold up how I think they're going to hold up, and we just stack that box and take that run game away, I'm not as high on Love as most people. I do think that when you corral him and you just keep throwing bodies at him, he's really not that explosive Heisman candidate running back that you've seen in other games where they don't do that. So I feel like it's gonna be Canes rolling. I think our offensive line is gonna be able to have a sustained run game. Do we see those huge big plays? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, Notre Dame, I think they're going to tackle well, even though it's the first game of the year. But I still expect the Marcus Freeman coach team to tackle well. So I just think we're going to handedly win this game. I would say probably by 10 points plus, to be honest with you. I don't think their offense is going to be able to hang up with us.
What if there's a stat that you had the box score, you don't know the score, but you're looking at the stats after the game? What's something that you're looking for to be like, all right, did we win or lose this game? It's going to be in this stat category.
Third down conversions, but probably after that, yards after contact. I mean, I think we're going to really run this football with Jordan Lyle and Mark Fletcher, make Carson Beck's life a lot easier with some easy passes, play actions, let him take his shots. Obviously, he's going to throw the ball probably 30 times, but, we're going to feed those two workhorse backs, and that yards after contact, like you said, starting off, 2nd and 6, 2nd and 5, 2nd and 4. That yards at the contact, I think that's going to be a big stat for us because we're going to have to – the talk is that we're going to have to out-physical them. So if we're going to out-physical them, that's a stat that I'm looking at.
And just put the picture together here, because one thing I've been saying is, like, with the corners we have, with the size they have, we talked about how they have 215, 220-plus pound receivers. That's what they do. I'm saying, kind of nose-to-nose, make those guys run routes, right? Test their route running a little bit. Don't let Greathouse catch the ball with space to go and do his thing and pick up speed. But from a technical standpoint, which you can explain a lot better than I can, what does it mean when you say, all right, we got corners that we trust in man coverage. We don't think their other guys are going to just smoke them on a route running basis and make them look bad, or explosiveness and just run by guys. And we're going to use that to our advantage to stop other elements of the team. What does that actually look like besides me just saying it generally?
That means, hey, we're going to commit our resources where, look, we're going to man up outside and put that safety in the box. If Scott isn't on a slot receiver, guess where he's going to be at? Probably on the sideline, because we're going to have a bigger guy in there playing that run, or he's stepping off the edge and crashing down. I mean, that's what it looks like. It looks like we're going to have more bodies in the box. More people are going to be blitzing. You're going to have maybe one time where it's just, hey, we might let the running back go uncovered and bring everybody. And then guess what? We're just going to have to count on our corners and safeties to come up and make a tackle and then backside pursuit. So it really comes down to just how much resources you put in the box. And that's really what I think is going to be. You'll have linebacker shooting. You'll probably have different personnel. That might be a time where, if you expect Toure and Wesley to start, that might be a time where you see a Bobby Pruitt in the game or a Popo in the game. And then they use more Toure as a pass rusher and have Popo as a true Mike. There's going to be some things that you see that personnel-wise, I think that's when you more commit to the living and dying on the edge. On the outside with the good corners is more of your personnel decision and how you deploy your resources. Like, hey, we're going to do that idea I just talked about, put Popo in the middle and use Toure more as like a jack where we can get him, coming off the edge or stunting or whatever, they want to do. But that's probably what I'm looking out for the most, personnel changes. And that's how you show the trust in that corner room.
I keep saying I'm gonna let you go, but I can't because you got so much stuff there. The receivers for Notre Dame, right? And I don't know if you've broken them down. I know you're familiar with them, but like, just kind of how would you attack them if you're Miami and size them up and say, all right, they do this well, this area, I think we can have an advantage or force them to be uncomfortable. Like, how do you see that game within the game with, let's say we got Lucas, Damari, and Ethan and the top four guys we're talking about.
Yeah, I think you have to make life hard for Greathouse. I think what he's shown was the ability to make contested catches versus tight coverage. I mean, everybody saw the playoff run. I mean, that was a great run. I mean, he was torching some top end defenses. Ohio State, Georgia's, just making plays on guys' heads. So you have to respect that. You really do. So he's shown even with great coverage, he can still make that type of play. So, I mean, I feel like I'm going to put my guys out there and he's going to have to make those plays versus me. Just because I saw it on tape does not mean I'm going to say, no, we don't play it this way. They're going to run the ball. And that was Riley Leonard throwing that ball. So it's totally different. He's not the best athlete. He's not the best quarterback. He's a better athlete. But still a guy who's in the NFL right now throwing that ball. This is a guy who's making his first career start. Is he going to put that ball in the place where Jaden Greathouse could go and make those amazing catches? I'm going to make my corners play man coverage, and he's going to have to make those throws to give Jaden Greathouse those chances versus that daunting front seven just rushing at him. And I'm going to say, yeah, I'm going to take that. I'm going to live and die. If he makes a one-hand catch on us or a crazy catch on us for 30 yards, 40 yards, even to one touchdown, I'm living with that. Because are you going to be able to successfully replicate those big plays throughout the entire 4 quarters? I think not. So I'm playing bump and run man coverage.
And how good do you think Greathouse is? Because you're talking about him, like you as a receiver guy, like how do you size him up? Obviously, you got to respect him because he did it in the playoffs last year. He's got the size and he can run. Like, how do you stack him up just compared to other top receivers? Like, what's his game like?
I like
as far as
he ran a whip route versus Georgia that I was very surprised about, because I've seen his footwork, how he got in and out. It was first plant, boom, boom. He got in his chair, 1-2, which is exactly how it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be a 3-step thing. So when he got out in 2 steps, that created just a little bit more room. So he caught this in the middle. It was a out back in whip, and he was able to split the middle of the defense and get yak. And that's because of his route running ability and just the little things that fans would not notice. But that's when I was like, oh, okay, he cold. I was like, all right, he's cold. And watched a little bit more of him, and I was able to watch some full Notre Dame games. And there was some times where he probably could have put up like 800 yards last year, 900, close to 1,000 yards. If he was in the type of offense that would have just been, throwing the ball more, to be honest with you. Or if he was there a year earlier with Sam Hartman at quarterback, he probably would have been, putting up some numbers. So I think that surprised me, his wiggle, his quickness. And again, he's 6'2", big. Those are tough tackles. Those are guys you got to get to the ground. So thankfully we have our own 6'2" plus guys that can get those guys to the ground. But I think Greathouse is actually really good, to be honest with you. And they got a Brower boy in slot at number 6, Ferguson. So he's really quick and shifty. He was a lacrosse player. His little brother is get going there as well, 4-star. But yeah, really quick, shifty. They got some guys, different type of mold. So we'll see, if they're going passing first. With their quarterback decision, I think it's because they have some belief in their receivers. I would imagine Greathouse gives you some confidence, having some other upperclassmen give you some confidence. But yeah, I would evaluate him as a threat. I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, he's definitely somebody I'm indicating and watching to see how we stop, because he's pretty good.
Yeah, no, and that's interesting to talk about his route running, because with just me watching the smaller doses, I'm like, man, I don't want this guy to catch the ball and get ahead of steam, or to be off, and then he's picking up speed with how big he is and how strong he is. But it sounds like what you're saying is the route running is more. There's more route running there. It's just the way the offense was. You didn't really get a chance to maybe see what he can do. So even if you're just kind of nose to nose trying to take away that head of steam, he could still cause problems for you.
Yeah, and then also, he's going to be a guy in the running game that's going to be imposing blocking. So our corners are going to have to get off those blocks and make sure we contain that edge. So, and fill that sideline. So a lot more than just him casting passes where his physicality, can come in. But them making that decision to go with the passer just indicates that they want to get guys like him the ball.
Yeah, they brought in Malachi Fields too, which we've seen in Virginia, big guy, 223. Yeah, I don't know how fast he is, but definitely contested catches and stuff like that. I mean, he's huge, and he's been productive too. So, that'll be interesting, just the ball skills, because really the last time we saw that ball skills tested from our secondary, which is a whole different secondary, was Syracuse, and that was just nonstop, just kind of catch point, contested catch issues, right? So, I wonder if Notre Dame, it's a whole different secondary, so I don't know how much that translates. But I wonder if Notre Dame seeing all that and like, all right, this is what we do. We'll do this. We play the same kind of attack.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm Notre Dame, I would do the same thing. I know that we revamped the corner room, but make them show us that they're not going to give up those big explosive plays, because it wasn't just Syracuse. Yeah, it was the worst, and it was, just oh my god. But it was throughout the entire season, just giving up big passing plays of all kinds, and even going back into last year. Just a lot of, prove to me that this new guy you just hired and this new DB coach you just got and all these new players you just brought in are the answer. I would do the same thing, because if you're Notre Dame, you could always rely on your bread and butter. And, you got a quarterback that I'm pretty sure we'll see at some point in the game to try to give it a little juice, especially if their offense sputters, try to get that running game going. So they always had that in their back pocket. Yeah, I'm going to make them prove that all these changes that they made are working. So if I'm Notre Dame, I understand that wholeheartedly.
Yeah, kind of the same thing on the other side where, they're gonna make us prove that we can get open and do those things. So like, what from a receiver standpoint on our side, who do you think gives us the best chance to make plays against their corners? One of which I think is elite. The other one is a real dude too. But I think more. You're talking about first round kind of guy. So given the competition, who do you think? Who are you looking for a receiver if you're Carson Beck?
I mean, I want to get CJ Daniels paid versus Moore because I think he gives up a lot of plays, but those interceptions, kind of mask some of that, to be honest with you. So I think he's workable, to be real with you. And if it's coming at any of our big guys, any of our outside receivers to consistently make production versus a bigger corner, I mean, I'm going with CJ, to be honest with you, because he makes those spectacular body catches, those great ball skills are going to come in clutch when you're going against tall, big guys. So I think, that's a guy we could deploy, but, barring JoJo's health, which I think will be all gravy, his ability and suddenness is going to separate him in man coverage. I really don't care what's the grade on some of these corners or what's the wrap on some of these corners. It is hard to stick him for 4 quarters. He's going to get you. If you're playing man coverage, he's going to get you. If Carson Beck finds him on that 1 or 2 times where he just literally has his DB in the dirt, with his stem, with his release, with everything, whatever it is, JoJo's super smooth. He's going to get you. There's going to be a time where you look stupid and, you're going to be like, JoJo's going to be like, damn, bro, I need this ball, this play. And, you talk about it. But if he finds him on one of those plays, he's going. So I think that also gives us a big matchup because he's a man coverage beater for sure.
Yeah. And then, Malachi, someone I've been talking about, just the connection with Beck, and me betting on the kid, knowing just how he approaches things off the field. That seems to be one that, yeah, he's 17 years old, but I'm not losing sleep with him being relied upon in this scenario. I guess we'll find out, but that's when I'm feeling pretty confident. I've been high guy on Malachi, so I've been out there saying I think he's going to be our leading receiver of the season if he stays healthy and all these kind of crazy things. But I mean, I don't know, man. Just the more I learn about the person, it's not like I'm the first person to be singing his praises. They were calling him baby Jesus when he was 12 or whatever,
Yep.
So it's not like I'm the first one saying these things, but man, he gives me a lot more security and confidence than a 17-year-old should give a football fan.
Because he's oozing with talent and maturity. I mean, I've had the pleasure of seeing him play at American Heritage, and later in his 7-on-7 career, he played with Raw. So I've seen him up close and just elite at all phases of, like I said, a work ethic position, and he has worked, and it shows. And he has already elite talent that isn't really something you work at. Yeah, you can improve your ball skills, but you can't just wake up one day and train for the rest of your life and just say, hey, I can catch like Malachi Tony. I mean, it is special. I remember telling people that he's going to be generational. People are like, but JJ and Ryan Smith are generational. Is he that? And I was like, yeah. He's generational. It's because he has the best suddenness. He has the best ability to create separation. He has route savviness already. He's sitting in zones. He can just get away from you. He understands what moves he's going to make before when he lines up and sees what coverage he's facing. He's already knowing how he's going to get open. And that's just super advanced for somebody his age. And his nickname literally is Baby Jesus. I remember the first time I heard it and I was like, what? That's wild. I was like, that's wild. Then he just catches a one-hand fade and I'm like, okay. Okay. Like literally just Baby Jesus, what? Looking at the ball like this. I'm like, oh, okay. That's him. Number 10.
Lankier too. Like, I'm the biggest Restrepo fan along with you in the world. I've been hyped. I was always saying this is a special dude even before Cam got here. And obviously his jersey is going to be in the rafters. There's numbers in the rafters right behind you coming up this year. So we know what he can do. But I would say one thing that with Tony that I think is surprising, at least just seeing him up close more in this environment, he's lankier than he looks. Like he's got big hands too, or strong hands. He's lanky. Like I think one thing he can do that maybe Restrepo had more trouble with just physically is like, I think he can go outside the frame a little bit, maybe more than Restrepo could.
When it comes to the catches.
Yeah. Just like his catch radius. I mean, Restrepo's catch radius for how he was built was crazy because he caught everything. But like, I think Tony has just a little more kind of lankiness to him. He's a slot receiver, but like, I seen him where I'm like, there's no way he's going to get to this ball. And then he's out there stretching and kind of like just fingertipping it and pulling it in strong. It's like, okay, I didn't know he had that much range to him.
Yeah, for sure. When it comes to he has longer arms for sure. And they both have that uncanny ability to launch their body towards that ball and close that space that you were thinking like, yeah, that's an incomplete pass, or damn, the quarterback put it a little like that Cam Ward to Van Jefferson pass. That's a pass where everybody was like, yeah, Restrepo's catching that,
Yep.
and that's
He
a
did one
pass
of those
where,
yesterday too. You see the catch he made
yeah,
yesterday?
yeah. So right there for a first down too through contact.
Yep.
So just you knew he was going to make those type of catches, and same thing with Malachi. He would probably maybe even be a step sooner. I think one of the things that separates not with them, but something that you could highlight that Malachi really does well is when it comes to that I don't want to say second gear, maybe I usually call it sixth gear when the ball is in the air. I think that's something that Malachi is really successful at, and that kind of contributes to his range because no route runner of Malachi's stature is running his routes full speed because you're not. You got to sell. It's all about your body language, your positioning, your posture, your stem, your yards, your steps, everything. So you're not doing it full speed so you can get in and out. You're just trying to sell something, and then once they take that fool's gold, all right, we're out. We're going this way. So that ability when you're seeing Malachi run his route and you're like, oh man, he's not going to get to that ball, but he was waiting to launch that sixth gear and get into it, and it just surprises you. So that's something that he brings to the table for sure. And I would not doubt that he's the leading receiver. I think CJ probably has the biggest chance out of that. But just because of the offense he's in, that slot receiver is going to get more touches manufactured than anybody on the roster other than the running back because you just handing it to him. To be real with you, let's just be real. That's Coach Shannon Dawson's system. We've seen it at West Virginia. We've seen it at Houston. We've seen it here in Miami. That's why we hired him.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch. And now you spent some time around Malachi with Raw, and part of my job now, being at practice and doing the storm sessions and kind of doing prep, I'm learning more about everybody's family, and it's amazing. When you're around the family of some of these kids, you see how they act the way they do. So like, Mark Fletcher's mom, Linda, she's all energy, right? All positive. And you see with Mark, that's how he plays. That's how he acts. Miss Tony, she's just like a cool lady. She's kind of cool. She's just sitting there observing, staying calm. And you see that with Malachi. He's just a cool customer there on the field. Just a person, you being around him a little bit with Raw, and just a person that we're getting, and the way they kind of carry themselves, talk about body language, things like that. What do you see with Malachi, the individual?
I mean, yeah, it doesn't look like a follower to me. Kind of the guy that even though he was so young, people look up to him, which is crazy. But again, baby Jesus. So that was one of the things where he definitely carries himself in a professional manner. I mean, I'm pretty sure when it comes to next year, we're going to be talking about his body and how, oh my God, he's 18 and look how he's looking now, because he's going to go about it the right way. He's going to make the necessary sacrifices, and he's going to put in the necessary, and if anything more than the necessary work to put in. So definitely that calm, cool, collective demeanor. I mean, you've seen it, he's been on IG and Twitter, for the last 3 years making crazy plays for American Heritage, and you don't ever see him act out of character. It's just another day at the office for him. And that's just something that, yeah, I like receivers that talk they ish, and he definitely talks some ish, but it's kind of like the most controlled way of talking ish. He's just like so confident. He's just telling you like, hey, bro, like I told you it was coming. Like, it is what it is, and it's about to happen again. It's just more like so much confidence just oozing when he talks that he doesn't have to talk too much.
Love it, man. So, Steve, listen, 1,600 on live. By the way, like and subscribe to the show. I mean, that's the numbers you're doing on a Sunday, man. 1,600 on a Sunday. So
let's do it. It's game week, baby.
It's game week. We got to get you on again. I know people are looking forward to seeing your content on CanesInSight and everywhere on your socials. Do get all your plugs in right now so people know where to find you. Because I know how it is when you come on. People in the comments sending texts, man, you got to have STEVO on more. We love seeing STEVO. So I want those people who enjoy what they're listening to and learn a little bit. Where can they find you once you sign off?
Yeah, on X, at 365 Canes Info, you can just type in 365 Canes Football, it'll pop up. But yeah, I'm usually on X. You'll see me on the CanesInSight board under STEVO 365. So you'll be able to see my content there, and then on YouTube as well, 365 Canes Football. But yeah, there's going to be a lot more on CanesInSight, and I can't wait to get to it. Very excited to kick off the film reviews. I got some high schooler kids that I didn't forget about. I got a DM the other day, and I was like, don't worry, bro. I'm building the PC. I ain't forget about you, bro. So some high school stuff that I'm going to be probably dropping, as this week leads up, to be honest. So you'll probably see some content, coming out on some guys like Vance and some others that are, going to be coming out just to get ready for the season. I'm trying out a new PC and everything. So going to guinea pig some of these commit reviews and then get my new program ready for Notre Dame.
I gotta call you Geek Squad now. You're not just out there doing the football stuff, man. You're all purpose. You're techie. It's high tech out there. Operation.
Yeah. YouTube University.
Hey man, well, listen, appreciate you joining us. You going to the game? Am I gonna see you out there?
Yeah, of course. Season tickets. This was a good one, man. Eight at home. So yeah, I will be there. We'll be in the parking lot. I'll see you before the game or after the game. But yeah, I will definitely be there. I'm not missing it for the world.
Hey, well, listen, always appreciate you joining us and everything you bring. We'll be watching out for your stuff. And go Canes, man. We'll do it again.
Go Canes.
There it is. Perfect form from the coach himself, Steve-O. Appreciate him, man. He's an awesome guest. Really learn something every time. And I could go all day. But we're going to get back another guest here soon. So we might be doing a 2.5 hour live right now. So I hope my White didn't think I was going to do any chores or any errands here on Sunday, because we got to roll. We got 1,600 on. Like and subscribe to the show. So we're going to keep this thing rolling. First, going to talk about, my guy. We had him on the show this week. You saw what a real Canes fan he is. This guy is huge for the program. He is diehard, lives and dies with it. Great connections with a lot of people in the building, and is the man. He's just a real genuine dude, and that is Orchid Man. He's not an orchid salesman. He has all the top flowers and stuff and plants in South Florida, but he's really a landscape artisan. This is a one-stop shop for your landscape and needs, whether you're a business, whether you're a home. You want to be high-end without paying the absolute unaffordable prices. This is the guy you talk to. South Florida's landscape artisans, orchidmanflorida.com, 786-271-0332. Says it right here. He told his story on the show. He's passionate about landscapes because they tell a story. This is what he's been wanting to do. He left finance to be a landscape artisan, because that is what he cares about. He's passionate about that, just like he's passionate about the Canes, here in South Florida, all the way up to Palm Beach, down to the Keys, making it easy. One-stop shop, again, not just for houses, for businesses too. He did Nike, he did a bunch of other big businesses, and it's all about making it easy for you. Sprinkler repair, irrigation, rain gutters, hurricane prep, landscape lighting, fertilizing, all the stuff you don't want to think about. Tree stump grinding, tree removal, tree trimming, manicured maintenance. orchidmanflorida.com. Plants coming from local nurseries, the best South Florida has to offer. If you wanted to get that high-end curb appeal for your business, for your house, there's only one place to go, and that is orchidmanflorida.com. All right, so as we wait for our guests here, we'll keep this thing rolling. Any questions, throw them in the chat. I gotta call my wife to bring me water, man. It'd be like James Brown. They just need to be bringing me stuff. I'm gonna be going long like this, going over an hour. I gotta get my stamina up. But yeah, we got a lot of chats going crazy right now. We got almost 1,700 right here. Let's see if we can catch up. Trigger asking, what do you think? How do you think JoJo can do against their DBs? You heard Steve-O talk about it. It's going to be the smoothness of JoJo. I don't care how good you are. A guy like that who can get in his breaks so fast, who has that sort of just, I don't want to call it deceptive speed, but he moves so smooth and easy that you don't notice the athleticism until he's catching a touchdown wide open and doing a backflip. That's kind of how he is. He's not a guy that, he's not like a track guy that you see him and it's like the legs are just and he looks like he's going super fast. Similar to how we talked about Bryce Fitzgerald earlier. It's one of those smooth operators. Amon Richards was another one he mentioned, where these guys that just, they don't look like they're going too fast, and then you look up and they're running down the field wide open. So, he's that kind of athlete. I don't think they're going to be able to stop him. They'll always stop a guy like JoJo Trader consistently over the course of a game, is to really disrupt the quarterback, right, and make the quarterback uncomfortable. The good thing with Beck is a quick release guy. He's a quick thinker. He's a quick processor, and then he just naturally has a twitchy release. So, he has all that to his game. I had a great conversation, by the way. I'm not going to say who necessarily, just I don't know if they want it all out there. But I was speaking of someone in the football world, right? This is not a Canes coach. This is somebody from the outside, but obviously very familiar with the Canes. And we were talking about the differences between Beck and Ward just from an offensive perspective. And I've made the comparison a lot of times of like Beck is a third baseman that was committed to Florida when he was a freshman in high school, which is crazy if you know anything about college baseball. I mean, there's not that many 14-year-olds committed to places like Florida and the SEC, but he was a really talented third baseman, could have been a professional baseball player. Cam Ward, all-time leading scorer in his high school as a combo guard. So he was a guard that scored, that passed, put up huge numbers, and did all that. And I've talked about those, the way they're built, the way they play is kind of like that. I mentioned that to this guy who was, again, a very high-level football guy. I'm just a fan. He's a high-level guy. And he goes, I buy that comparison. I'm going to take it a step further. And he pointed out that, and this really put it all together to me. It was really insightful what he said, which is, in basketball, you control the tempo if you have the ball. So if you're Cam Ward playing out there in Columbia, Texas, West Columbia, Texas, and ball's in your hand, you got 24 seconds, man. You can pound the ball till there's 1 second on the shot clock and shoot. You can pass, you can speed it up, you can slow it down. You control the tempo of your offense. Now, flip it to third base. That ball gets at the third base. You're not taking your time. Your ball's out fast, especially if it's a fast runner. Boom, out fast. Retrieve, get rid of it fast, put some juice on it. That's third base. And now think about how they play quarterback. Cam Ward, sitting tight, chilling. Hey, I got 24 seconds to make a play. Move around. I'm going to make the pass, or if the lane's clear for me, I'm going to go ahead and run. Easy peasy. I'm going to control the pace of the game, and I am the maestro there. I got the whole court. I got the whole field. I can throw it this way, that way, that way. Every angle is available to me because I'm the guard with the ball in my hands. So that's how he played football. That's how he plays football. That's how he had the number one offense in the country, number one overall pick. Carson Beck, third base. How does he play? And I've seen this firsthand watching it. You can watch his Georgia tape. You're going to see the same thing. Ball's in his hands. He's processing. Both of them process fast. So they see the picture fast. There's no difference really in processing speed. I put both of them on the higher end. Plus, they're both veterans. But boom, he gets the ball. He's looking. It's out. It's out fast. He's almost like Dorsey in that regard. And that Dorsey was somebody, the ball was out really fast from his hands. Carson Beck gets the ball. Boom. He's looking, ball's out. He doesn't hold it like Cam. Not because they both process it the same. Some guys hold it because they can't see. Cam Ward sees it right away. They just have different styles of attack. And then, of course, Beck has that third base arm, usually one of the best arms on the team. Beck is elite arm talent, and he can gun it. He can drive it. He can also throw with some loft, as Ward could as well. So I use that not to compare them as players and who's better, who's worse, because I mean, Ward's so good that that's the top of the mountain, and you hope you can go back to back with the best 1-1, right? That's the dream. And Beck has that ability. Ward already did it, so he's at the top of the mountain. But just in terms of style of offense, I think that's what you're going to notice is the biggest difference, is that assume the same offensive line ability, you're going to have less time between snap and ball leaving the hands with Beck than Ward, because they're just different types of players in that way. Both can be equally effective. I think the processing speed's elite with both. I think the arm talent's elite with both strong, sturdy guys. I think that's the difference. Ward knew, hey, I'm going to hold it, and if someone gets loose, I can juke him out. I'm strong. I can break a tackle. I'm not really worried about one guy breaking 3 after 5 seconds. I'm in control. I got 24 seconds on the shot clock. Whereas with Beck, he's that third baseman to get out quick. Plus, Beck's not going to be, I think Beck in a straight line, I think if you put him in a race, I think Beck actually probably would beat Cam Ward in a race, or at least be close. I think he'd probably win. But Beck's not going to hold it, break a tackle, go off to the side, and get out the pocket. He can get out the pocket, but he's not going to rely on that. So that it's just a different type of approach. But I think both the guys are going to run great offense. I think our offense is going to be great back to back. Nashville Kane, what's up, man? He said, just want to say thanks for the practice reports from the parking garage back in the day. It's funny. So for those who don't know how the field is, Green Tree practice field. Then you got a parking garage, which is really for the psychology building. And those both overlook the field. So if you're in the parking garage for the psychology building, you could watch practice. So back in the day, man, I used to just always sneak into practice in the parking garage. This was when I was like a kid. I think I might have been college or high school down here or law school down here for the summer. So you sneak into practice from the garage. There's a guy on a card. The security's gotten a lot better since this era. Mario's got this thing a lot better off than some of our other coaches. Maybe that's a sign of just attention to detail, because you're not doing this nowadays. It's all blocked off. But back then, all you had to do was avoid some like 80-year-old guy in a golf cart that would just go up and down the parking garage trying to find spies. Not that I was a spy, but I wanted to see practice. So I would always just get in there, turn my car off. This is like August, so it's, imagine how hot it is, or spring, which is equally hot, really. So I'm sitting there in my car's off, no air conditioning, and I'm just sweating, watching practice. I remember I took my wife one time, and we were just sitting in the car, like just watching practice, and the thing looked like the car in Titanic with Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet. The windows were like foggy and stuff, just literally sitting down, watching practice, not doing anything. So we've come a long way since then. Now I'm obviously closer to the program, been able to watch from the sideline. And now my wife's a psychology professor, so she could watch from the building. So she's my real spy if I need an extra set of eyes, because the psychology building's right there next to the green tree. Her office right there by overlooking green tree. So we got eyes all over the place, man. We went from the outhouse to the penthouse when it came to practice. But yeah, appreciate you, Nashville, remembering that. Yeah, that's funny. That was a long time ago, man. That was probably talking about almost 20 years ago doing all that stuff. Yeah, Josh saying Mario's got the garage is blacked out now. Yep, 100%. And there's no spies in that psychology building. I make sure that my wife keeps an eye on potential spies. Lets us know, we can kick them out, arrest them. They're trying to spy from that building. Galaxy King, they're saying Beck in a true air raid system will be huge for us. I hope Dawson doesn't change up too much. I don't think he will. It's just the way they play. It's not so much the way you design the offense. The offense is the offense. I think I'm just comparing the way that they play, right? So it's not. I don't think the offense is going to change versus Ward, Beck. Maybe slight tweaks, but it looks pretty similar to me. And I do think Beck. You talk to people that know better than me, and they always point to, man, that system with Bobo is hard to watch. With Mike Bobo there at offense in Georgia. And you saw the offense really not live up to its potential last year. So a lot of people expect Beck in this offense, which is very quarterback friendly and just had a number 1 overall pick, to be a improvement. Not just the offensive line, not just all the other stuff, the running game that he's going to have improved here, less competition on the other side, but it's the system I think is going to help Beck, because he's a quick operator. He is an air raid quarterback in a lot of ways. He's a pro style quarterback too, but he likes to get rid of the ball fast, man. He's accurate. He's got that quick release. He's quick processor. A lot of stuff that air raid quarterbacks do, he does. He just has that extra element of the physicality and the arm strength of an NFL player. So he doesn't have to be like a Cliff Kingsbury. But all the stuff that Cliff Kingsbury and all those kind of guys did, he does that too, just in a more NFL-ready package. So I do think the system fit is huge. And Never saying Ward's trying to hit a home run every at bat. Beck is fine with RBIs, putting runners in scoring position. I would agree with that. That's part of the reason why Ward held on to it. He didn't hold on to it because he couldn't see what was going on and he was confused. He held on to it because he was waiting for guys to get open down the field, go even bigger. And by the way, it worked. We were the best offense in the country by far. I think we were like, we're miles ahead of number 2. It was maybe the best offense that we will ever see at Miami. So, Ward was trying to hit a home run every at bat, but he hit a lot of home runs every at bat. He was kind of like Aaron Judge in that way. You can't tell Aaron Judge, hey, you're striking out too much, or you're swinging too hard, because it worked. It works. So, like I'm saying these things not to say one's better than the other, just to kind of compare how it might look different, seeing it in practice. Raul saying with our elite offensive line pass protection, Beck will have Georgia 2023 stats when he was lauded as the number 1 draft pick. Yeah, I mean, I think one thing he had at Georgia, Brock Bowers, Ladd McConkey, those guys helped him too. But he's going to spread the ball out, man. And I think our running game will be really, really good. And I think guys will emerge with him throwing the ball. Appreciate you, Howard. For the hard work. Sorry if I'm losing my voice here. I got to save it for game week, because it's going to be we got so much stuff coming. We're going to have a Hurricane, which is like our 5-hour like marathon show. Mike Ryan, going to be a lot of all-star guests on that one. He's going to flex his media clout and get us some guests. Last year we had Kevin Clark from ESPN. We had Bear Felica, George Sedano, Jonathan Zaslow. We had a lot of big names last year. That was awesome. So we'll see what we cook up this year, man. It's gonna be a lot of fun. We're working on some big names for Hurricane, and then the Hype podcast I do. Been working on that one too. Probably too much. I would say I spend 98% of my time thinking about what I'm gonna do for the Hype podcast that year, and then 2% thinking about what I'm gonna do on that day's podcast. It's just something I focus on. Steve, appreciate you, man. Looking forward to getting your scouting takes here during baseball season. I got to hit you up. Byron Ross saying Notre Dame will protect their quarterback, RPOs, quarterback runs, sub boot, flat passes, and slants, occasional 50-50 ball to Great House. Make them one-dimensional and get up by 2 TDs and it's over. Hey, your lips to your words to God's ears, man. That would be huge. Muhammad Hussein, always appreciate your support, appreciate your passion. Pack the rock all season. Come on, Canes fans, let's go. It's going to be a loud stadium. I promise you. Mrs. G saying Mrs. D Money needs to come through with the water. Yeah, Dr. Money, man, where you at? I just texted you. Stop, let these kids alone. We're trying to run a show here. We got 1,700 on the live right now. Probably going to kick up when we get our next guest out here. So, man, shout out to everybody. Almost an hour and a half in, and we got almost 2,000 on. Sean Andrews, hello from Thailand. Great content, D. Appreciate you, man, from Thailand. Always want to go out there. I like that kind of weather. I'm a tropical kind of guy. You know, that's this. I'm trying to be sweating, trying to be in the water, trying to be in the sun. So Thailand always looked awesome. Let me know how that is, Sean. Hopefully you'll be able to watch that Canes game. I don't know how it is in Thailand, but hopefully you'll be able to watch that Notre Dame game. Howard saying it's Beck time and JoJo was the deal. He's too quiet. JoJo. I hope Notre Dame's sleeping on JoJo. I hope they're not preparing for JoJo Trader because they'll be in for a surprise here on Sunday. Philip Rusamano, Monmouth County, 2017 versus Notre Dame made Gainesville last year look like a library. I think everything made Gainesville last year look like a library. It was quiet as can be. Some of that had to do with what was happening on the field, but yeah, all that all that swamp hype that wasn't happening. It was quiet as can be by the second quarter. Really, I think by the time the Ward went over there and just kind of like held up at the end, that little taunt that he did where he ran up and just stopped. That was to me the end of that ball game. Right when they realized that he was, had the game in total control. It was over at that point. Galaxy King saying, when's the depth chart coming out? I don't think the depth chart's ever coming out. They'll see what they see on the first game. Maybe if it was like, Bethune-Cookman or something, they put out a depth chart, but not for this kind of game. Yeah, that pass to George made the stadium die. They were already half dead. That killed them when that happened. Clearly saying air raid this year. I think it's the year for that, about 12 receivers to throw to. Yeah, I expect the ball to be spread out more. I think that's something that you will see is just more people getting the ball, more action, more. I compare it to Dorsey. I mean, obviously you don't have Andre Johnson running around all these guys, but Dorsey was really good about just like someone's open, they're getting the ball. He was really equal opportunity. He happened to have the best players ever around him, but he was equal opportunity. Even if it was like a Kevin Beard or like a Daryl Jones or whoever was open was getting the ball. He wasn't like holding it to force it to Andre. That was not his game. I think Beck has some of those similarities. I think you're going to see a spread out attack and approach, with guys getting the rock. Clizzy saying Beck will probably be the first round pick. I hope so. That'd be huge. That'd mean that he had a great year and that he was spreading the ball out. Well, what other comments we got here? Let's see what's going on. Endeavor saying JoJo should pattern his game after Keenan Allen. He's not as big as Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen's big when you see him. Keenan Allen's like same size as like CJ Daniels. So I don't know if he has the size of Keenan Allen, but certainly route running, releases, all the fluid stuff that the Keenan Allen does. Pretty good example as a route runner. So that'd be a good person there. Canesway says Dawson has to make changes to the run scheme. We can't continue to run inside zone. It's too predictable. Outside zone has to be installed. I mean, look, there's more that we've seen, but I think everybody knew what we were doing last year, and no one could stop it. We ran the ball at will all year. Even when we were struggling to run the ball, we'd still bust runs at the end of games. It wasn't really struggling. On the year, we finished top 5 in yards per carry, right behind Notre Dame. So we were top 5 in rushing efficiency. Never lost yards. We were top 5 in avoiding negative plays. Third down conversions, fourth down conversions were the best. Now, listen, to do that, you need to have elite offensive line, size, and power. And then you need to have elite big backs, right? Which we had all that. So that allowed us to, even though you knew it was coming, you couldn't stop it. We just power through. So it's not for everybody to run, but we could do it because we had the size and the power to just sort of line up and move guys off the ball. Not everybody can do that. We had the ability to do that, and that's what I think made a big difference. And Josh is pointing out it's the truth. It's not all inside zone. We're on a lot of duo and power run schemes as well. I think the duo part is what I want to highlight. That's really our bread and butter is duo. We did a whole video on CanesInSight. Let me see if I can find it because it's a good thing to pull up here. By the way, if you're not on CanesInsight.com, see how many posts we have. I did a practice, or not a practice report, but a camp report, just kind of big picture thoughts from practice. We got 7.53 million posts. Pull up CanesInsight here so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Oh, Shiloh Sanders waved. Give me some cuts today. Hopefully not too many Canes. There you go. This CanesInsight forums, as you can see, look at the messages on these boards. We got 791 people live right now, just members and people on. 7.53 million posts, almost 20,000 members that are registered members. And you see these threads. I got my post-camp thoughts thread, got 14,000 on there, just giving some general thoughts on the team. You see the memes. You got to be a meme expert to post out here. These guys got them all under control. But yeah, here's what I was talking about. Just some of the things. If you listen to the show, you've heard me make a lot of these comments before. But a lot of confidence with the team, just real confidence. These guys know they got a good team. Corner room, we talked about it with STEVO. I think it's just significantly improved. Keontae Scott, I think is a difference maker in the nickel because he's a true nickel. You don't have to move Porter. Again, some of the things we talked about here. Safety, I think the room's improved with Poyser and Jacoby Thomas. I call them SEC caliber safeties. They both can tackle. Bryce Fitzgerald, the athleticism he brings. Talked about it with STEVO as a difference maker. Bobby Pruitt. A lot of people talking about this as a linebacker. This guy can also play safety and help you there. Talked about Carson Beck a little bit. One thing with the receivers is really the most talented receivers are the younger guys, the JoJo Traders, the Malachis, the Josh Moores, and the veteran guys are more floor raisers. Very talented as well, but I think those guys are going to keep you solid. You know what you're going to get there, and then there's really the upside is with like how good can JoJo get? How good could Josh Moore get? How good can Malachi Tony get? Those guys can really raise your floor. Talked about tight end. Elijah Arroyo is going to be a very difficult guy to replace. I know that's not exactly breaking news, but his size and his speed at 6'4", 250, very, very unique. Whereas the guys we have now, different body types, different skill sets. Lofton, I think he's going to be like a Pro Bowl fullback, like change the fullback position really in the NFL because of everything he can do. I'm a huge fan of his, but he's different than Arroyo. Bauman, bulked up. He's gained weight since he's been here. Good receiver, tough, just a dude out there with the experience and the red zone capabilities, like what he's done. Luka Gilbert, we talked about him on the show, 6'7", 265 at least. He can move. He's coordinated. He's not going to run a 4.4, but he's not a stiff at all. He can make catches outside his body. He can run routes. Really excited about him. He'll play this year. Defensive line wise, the veteran I think we need to talk about. We talked about this with Pete. Is David Blay getting a lot of buzz from the scouting community? Guy that can take on double teams. Really good. He's not like the most electric first step guy. What he is when he's on you, he can wiggle around and not just be strong and tough, but fluid as well and technically sound and getting off blocks and causing problems. Knows how to use his body. Talked about Armando Blunt there at defensive end. Somebody who can also play defensive tackle. Of all the young 5-stars who are flashing, Justin Scott, Marquise Lightfoot, Hayden Lowe, they're all making plays. Armando Blunt, man, he might be the most total package of those guys. 18 years old, size, speed, power, just a nasty, mean individual who's also tremendously smart. Linebacker, one of the things I noted in this write-up, I think this room's starting to look a lot more like it should be. Manny was really, really bad at recruiting linebackers for whatever reason. You're talking about Corey Flaggs, Deshaun Troutman. Flagg was a solid player, but just the size was not there on a lot of guys, either too skinny or too short or both. Now you're starting to get length and size at the position. Mo Torrey looks like the Predator. Wesley Basaint, I interviewed him for Storm Sessions. He was 190 when he got here. Now he's 230, and he still looks lean and good. Ton of experience on both guys. Kamal Bonner and Alderman, these are guys that started in the ACC, played pretty high level. Alderman started in the ACC championship game. Kamal Bonner was probably the best player on NC State's defense. So you got those guys in the mix on top of the others. That's good experience. Popo Aguirre played a bunch. Chase Smith looks really, really big and physical as a fifth-year player. And then Kellen Wiley, his dad's always on the stream. We talk about him. NFL prototype with his length, 6'4", 238. The only kicker, we'll see. That's an ongoing battle, man. I think we're not going to know what we got till the games start. With Borales, he played so much, so we had seen him. But I think with the two bring different things to the table. Bert Auburn's made a lot of kicks in big games, all Big 12 kicker for Texas in 2023. Obviously had struggles last year, but he's a guy you trust to make kicks in games because he's done this so many times. Carter Davis, really more of a kickoff specialist in his career, but he's been kicking tremendously well, field goals, and his leg is elite, man. This guy's got incredible leg strength. So he brings a different dimension, maybe a different level of upside with him. So that's an interesting guy to watch. Going to the comments here. Lord Baconton said, loved your interview with Armando Blunt. I appreciate you, man. So yeah, Armando Blunt, really good kid, really cool interview. Love talking to him. He's a 3.7 student in the psychology department. Interviewed him for Storm Sessions, which is the show we do for the University of Miami official channel, or I'm the host of that. So that's on all the official Miami stuff, like the YouTube. You can find it there. You can find it on Spotify, iTunes. But yeah, man, appreciate you with those kind words on that interview. He was an awesome guest. One thing when you talk to him, he's only 18, but man, he's a grown man. You see him, he's a sturdy dude. I don't think he's going to stay at defensive end permanently. I think he has more than enough strength and power to play inside. He's lean, but he doesn't have any bad weight on him. He's not a thin guy. He's naturally stout and strong. My hair wasn't too good on this interview. I had a comb before. I got some cowlicks sticking out there, but yeah, man, he has that intelligence and that nastiness, which is a great combo. He's on point, and he can run. This guy can run sideline to sideline. He's extremely talented. So I think he's a guy defensive end, and then pass rush downs. You're going to see him doing a lot of good work there. So Clizzy's saying Wesley's a real deal linebacker. You know, I think Chase Smith should start beside Wesley than a healthy rotation, with 31 being the constant. Chase Smith's going to be in the mix, but don't sleep on Motori, man. He's a guy that knows the system. He's a guy that has played a lot of football, has produced at a high level, both pass rush and sideline to sideline, as we saw in that Emerald Bowl. Oh, thank you. Some water. Can I have a coffee too, please? Got Dr. Money here serving up. So I got my water ready for the next hour or so. We got 1,800 plus on live, waiting for our guest. Let me check in on him. Let's check on our potential guest. What are the questions? Howard Stern asking, is Justin Scott ready for the moment? We'll find out, man. We'll find out. But dude, he's a big guy. He's, of all these defensive tackles, he's the one that looks the part. A lot of them look the part, but he's the one that looks the most like just a top 10 player in the country, 5-star, which he was. He can move. We'll find out if he's ready for the moment. He's going to have a test against Notre Dame, but he played last year. It's not like this guy's never played in a game. I think he played in the opener against Gainesville. So he's been in some big games as well. Obviously not the role he's going to have this year where he's going to be one of our key players. But we'll find out. Notre Dame was a school that was after him. He's from Chicago. So it's not a homecoming for him because he's going to be here in Miami, but a team certainly he grew up watching. I'm sure people in his high school, a lot of Notre Dame fans there. So kind of interesting dynamic for his big debut as a starter player. It's really 3 starters with him, Moten, and Blay. But yeah, we need him. We'll find out if he's ready for the moment. I think he's been having a good camp and is extremely talented, man. Endeavor Repository. Why did Riley Williams leave? He was going to have a bigger role this year. Must have been homesick. I think he would have had a big year. Yeah, I liked Riley Williams. Big guy, fluid. Played a lot last year, sort of like a blocker, but he has the receiving ability as well. I thought he was headed for a big year. His grandfather used to always show up on the streams. Riley Williams' dad, man, grandpa. He would show up even after Riley Williams left. He was an awesome dude. I like Riley Williams. I don't know the full story there. I think some of it is just, he's from Oregon. He's from Portland, Oregon. So followed Mario down here, then transferred back to Oregon State. It's a lot different here than in Oregon. I don't think that's a surprise to anybody. I go to Oregon all the time because my dad grew up there. When he came from Cuba, he went to Oregon. So my Cuban accent's not as thick as my Cuban background would suggest, because my dad grew up in Oregon, saying all these Oregon phrases. Point being, spending time here and spending time there, they're extremely different places. The air is different. The people are different. Everything is different. So probably the 2 most different places on the map, quite frankly, distance-wise and culturally. So I don't know this to be the case, but my suspicion, it wasn't like a playing time thing because he played last year, would have played a lot this year, is he just felt more comfortable on that side of the world. He's at Oregon State now. He's going to do his thing. I think he's going to have a pretty good season for those guys. I think a lot of what you saw with Williams. Bauman's going to replace that production. And then also like long term, the guy that I see most similar to him would be like a Luka Gilbert, right? Because Riley Williams was a big dude, bigger than I thought when we recruited him. Because he was like a receiver in high school, receiving tight end in high school. He became a bigger guy. Luka Gilbert gives you some of that where he's coordinated, he can move, but at the same time he was just a naturally big dude. And when he's out there, your team is quite a bit bigger and heavier just because of the size that he brings. 1,800 on the show, man. Like and subscribe. Lord Bacon said the U's been known for speed and hitting people in the mouth. I think we've been missing that physical edge in which we need. That's Blunt's going to bring that. I think Jacoby Thomas from Tennessee is a guy that brings that because he likes to hit as well. You know, he's a physical player to the bone. Motore from Rutgers. We need that as well. He has that kind of that tone setting demeanor. And yeah, man, I think he's going to be, we're going to have more physical players this year than we've had in the past. No Smoke says, I understand the want for a varied running game, but what we do works against everyone. We were one of the tops in the nation in yards per carry. Thank you, Dr. Money. So, you know, we talk about the running game. That's part of it too. And it's also the whole offense. We're number one by a mile in yards per or not just yards per rush. We're number one by a mile in third down conversions, which is obviously a huge stat. You talked about STEVO mentioning the difference that makes in wins and losses. We were number one in a mile in just total offense. So when you're starting every series positively, plus you're converting short yardage, the other things pan out more. The conversions are easier. The offense runs smoother. It's not just about what are the running game stats. And yes, we were a good running game statistically, but it's also about what are the offensive stats and how does the running game complement everything else you do? Because even though, you know, maybe we run a little bit more with Beck this year, I think Beck is still going to pass the ball a lot. I mean, this is a guy at Georgia who threw the ball a ton. You think about Georgia's like kind of the game manager type quarterbacks. Beck was not that. Beck threw it a ton in Georgia. So I think he's still going to throw it a lot. Lord Baconton saying Pruitt's also one of those guys. Yeah, he is. As far as hitting guys, he's down to hit at safety when he's even heavier than your average safety. Supposed to be an undersized linebacker. I think that physicality plays up even more. Ghost and Devon Donaldson's asking, who do you think gets the most carries for this team? It's a great question. I think it's going to be pretty even like you saw last year. You know, last year you had Martinez and Fletcher pretty close, and then you had Jordan Lyles, your changeup. I think you'll see something like that, except Marty Brown will be in the Lyle role, and then Fletcher and Lyle will be those top two guys. I don't know. You know, I could see Lyle getting the most carries and Fletcher getting the most snaps because Fletcher does so much stuff as a blocker as well. Although the truth is, you know, Lyle can pass block too. You know, Lyle's a really good pass blocker. So, you know, don't sleep on that aspect of his game. So let's see. Let me check with our guests here. Let's see what we got. Let's see. Trying to book a guest here on the fly. If we can't get him, yes. Let's see. We might be getting him. We might be getting him right now. So we might be getting the closer here to pick us up. See, this is like the running game. You know, when the defense is tired, you've been hitting them nonstop. You bring in fresh legs and break the big runs, right? So this is the fourth quarter of the game. You saw that last year. You saw AJ Allen get big runs. You saw Lyle get big runs. You saw all those body blows accumulate over time, tackling a Mark Fletcher, tackling a Damian Martinez, 2 yard, 3 yard, just body blow, you know, and then the explosive play. So I think that's kind of what you're looking at here with this running game. And who's going to be made? Is it going to be Pringle coming in to make that explosive run? He can do that too. Chris Wheatley-Humphrey, you know, Jordan Lyle himself can break off those runs. Fletcher, I think, has more speed than people think. So, you know, don't sleep on all that. Almost 1,900 on, guys. Like and subscribe. Josh Sarnoff, if you watch the Iowa State game, Beck's experience and ability to run when needed was the difference in that K-State game. Carson can give you that. Actually more gifted in that capacity. Will keep chains moving when guys aren't open. Yeah, that was a fun game. I do think Beck's can run and get those, especially when there's yards in front of, like, Beck, I don't know if he's the most laterally quick guy, but when you talk about, I mean, he's not stiff, but he's not like juking guys out. But when there's grass in front of him, he can run. He's also physical. Like, I hope he doesn't do it too often. In fact, I hope he doesn't do it at all, quite frankly, but he'll put his shoulder down and run people over. I'd probably rather him get down and get out of bounds. But he has that to him. I think at Tennessee, he was really, really good running and throwing in that game. If you want to see like the absolute classic Carson Beck highlight game, pop in that Tennessee tape. It's on YouTube. He was unreal in that particular ball game. And I think running and throwing, that's going to be the best game. Yeah, interesting game. So let's talk some college football here while we're here. Endeavor saying Kansas State's wide receivers were horrendous. I don't know. Number one was pretty darn good. His name escapes me. Jace Brown. Yeah, I think part of the problem with Kansas State is that when I watch Avery Johnson, who's a very dynamic player, I didn't sense good ball placement from him. Maybe I'm used to Carson Beck, and now I'm used to Cam Ward, now I'm watching Carson Beck, and both those guys are so good at ball placement. Avery Johnson, he has a good arm, can run like the wind, but like some of those throws were just not very good in terms of they were catchable, I guess, but the placement and the velocity and they weren't very catchable balls. And even though technically they hit the receiver in the hands, and I think that hurt Kansas State's offense. I was not impressed with Avery Johnson's kind of development as a passer. And he's a guy I like, but you want to see more from him. He kind of reminds me of like a smaller, more dynamic, maybe Jeff Driscoll, who actually played a long time in the NFL, former Gator. He's still in the NFL. But there was a little bit of that to him where he's fast in a straight line. He can run. He has a good arm, but there's some kind of unnaturalness to him. Yeah, Endeavor saying I agree. Put too much on them. Kansas State didn't run Johnson nearly enough. Yeah, I agree with that. He should be running, no doubt. Rocco Becht is funny. You look at this. Every time you look at the stat line, he's like 55%, but he finds a way to win, man, and he gets the ball out there. He's not Brock Purdy. I don't think he's as athletic as Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy is kind of sneaky good athlete with his quickness. I don't think he's as talented as Brock Purdy, but there's some Brock Purdy in him. He's just the guy gets the job done, man. He seems to me like a classic backup quarterback in the pros. Guy will play a long time in the pros as a backup quarterback. Obviously, he hurt Miami and led Iowa State to a big win. Glad we're not playing in Ireland, though. I mean, all respect to Ireland, but that rain, that cold, no thank you. I'd rather be in the Rock here on Labor Day weekend. Clizzy asking what happened to Jackson Carver. Hurt his ACL in spring, so he's been out. He's rehabbing. Positive attitude. His brother's on the team now. Shout out to the Carver family. Really, really good people. Always super cool to deal with those guys. And hope he heals up and does his thing because he's a talented guy. Big guy walking around, but he'll be fine. Guys that work hard typically do good in their rehabs. Trigger saying Bain and Blunt about to wreak havoc. 2 homegrown dudes. Yeah, 2 homegrown dudes and guys with power. I think that's, to me, a signature of both of their games is they are power players. They hit hard. They explode. They knock guys back. It's knockback power. And there's a difference between strength and power. Strength is how much weight you're gonna lift, right? Power is the ability to generate force. So power is lower body. Power is twitch, like just fast twitch muscle. It's leverage. It's hand strength, hand power, technique. So power is just, to me, an underrated thing we talk about with football. We talk about strong, size, fast. Power is big, and power is not the same as everything else. Ruben Bain is the definition of power. You watch that Louisville game, that is power personified. He's knocking guys back. Francis Mauanoa, power. Some guys are more catch and grab and wrestle and use their strength. Those guys are both powerful. You look at what Armando Blunt did as a freshman in high school. I think he was top 5 in the state in shot put as a 14-year-old freshman with not a lot of training. That's natural power, that ability to just use your hands and explode. Jackson Cantwell, yes, he has strength. You see him what he does with the weights. But what that shot put shows, and the reason why shot put has such a high correlation with NFL success and draft picks, is the power just translates really good to football. Kyle asking, who are we going to see first, Big Rusk or Luka Gilbert? Talking about Oren Ruskovich, the former walk-on, now scholarship player, number 44, big tight end from DC. Good, it's a good battle. Those two are battling. I think Gilbert maybe has a chance just because he's so talented, but we'll see. Lord Baconton the third. How he asked me how fast you think Blunt runs in the 40. I know he ran a laser when he was like a sophomore in high school. He ran like a laser 4.7, I want to say, at one of these camps. That's why, one of the reasons why, when you look at these guys that are 5 stars, one of the reasons those guys get those 5-star numbers is because they'd ran verified times at camps and had verified size at camps. So, and I don't blame 247. I do the same thing. If I'm 247 on 3, the guys that you're trusting with the 5-star are going to have that verified athleticism, that you're not guessing what they run or what they weigh. And I think Blunt is one of those guys that, on top of what he did in the shot put and what he did on the field, he had really good verified testing numbers early in his career, early in his life as a 15-year-old. So I think he's in that 4.7 range. Don't quote me on that, but I know he has very fast verified times as confirmed by the scouting services, which keep those numbers proprietary. But I think let me pull it up here. Actually, I can look that up. But yeah, he's fast, man. He runs with the linebackers a lot of times in conditioning and oftentimes outruns the linebackers. In the scrimmage a couple weeks ago, there was a play to the sideline where he really looked like Mo Torre, just going sideline to sideline on a screen and blowing it up and going and just knocking some dude out. So he has that, he has that ability as well. He's just a pretty unique dude from a size speed standpoint. So I'm pulling up his numbers here. What he run? Yeah, I think it was in that 4.7 range. 6'5", 6'2.5", 250 in 2022, which is 3 years ago. And this guy's only 18, so he was probably 14 at that time, in February 2022. And he was already 6'4", 250. Okay, then 223 around. So basically 2 years ago to this date, September 1st, 2023, almost 2 years ago, 6'3.5", 250 at that time. And I believe he ran a 4.7, 4.8 at this time. So yeah, he could run. He could hit. Question about Pruitt, kind of like Lawton, complaining we're just a football player. We should play Pruitt in the slot defensively. Very talented roster defensively. Yeah, Pruitt can play everywhere. And I think he's shown that he has the athleticism to play at safety. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, talking about interchangeable at every position. We're doing it, man. We got some pieces now. Yeah, you recruit 5 stars, 4 stars every year. Big time portal additions. You're gonna have a pretty good ball club. Almost 2,000 live on. We're 2 away from 2,000. So let's get there in hour 2. There we go. 2,000 on the dot. Appreciate everybody joining the show. Yeah, like and subscribe. We're doing a marathon here. I'm hoping we can get the guest on. He says he's coming here in 5 minutes, so we're pushing. We're pushing through. I got coffee. My girl Dr. Money gave me my Kiss cup. Kiss now inducted to the Columbia Center, I believe, or whatever the Kennedy Center. There's Kiss is going to be honored there. So shout out to Kiss, shout out to George Strait, all the nominees for that, Gloria Gaynor, whoever got nominated. But yeah, Kiss, big fan there. Underrated rock and roll band. Not underrated because they're world famous, but I don't think they get enough credit for how good their songs are. First album, classic. Destroyer, classic. You already know. Kyle saying this freshman class is way better than number 13. I'm with that. You 1,000,000% on that. That's one of my big takeaways of camp. And look, we got to see it, right? They got to play. But you're telling me we'll see what Luka Nickel can do. I'm a big Luke Nickel fan. He's got work to do. But put him to the side because he's still in the developmental phase. Offensive line kind of still in the developmental phase. I like those guys. They're going to take a couple of years. Just guys that are ready to go right now. Pringle can run. I think you'll see him this year. All 3 wide receivers can get it done. Luka Gilbert's going to play, I think, this year right away. Brock Schott, at least on special teams, another way is going to play. Dante Simpson, you saw on 3 name in one of the freshman All-Americas. He can play. Hayden Lowe's going to play. Herbert Scroggins really developing into a good player. His arrow's pointing up in a big way. Hard worker. Kellen Wiley, the size and speed he brings, unheard of. Bryce Fitzgerald, we talked about him. He's going to play right away, and if he plays well and tackles well, he could be like a key guy on this team. That's how good he is. Jabari Antoine, surging, coming off that knee injury, surging at corner. Chris Ewald. So yeah, we got impact guys, man. And that wide receiver position in general, I think, is going to be a building block for that room going forward. I would keep all 3 and develop all 3. Billy's asking, did Pete bail on you today? No, Pete knew he was gone. He was playing soccer, and I got my son's birthday coming up later, so I knew I had to do the morning show. That's why. So we're doing it this way. But I like to bring some guests on, get STEVO on, get some different folks on, so we can we can keep this thing rolling. But let's see what else we got. Lord Baconton asking, cafecito? No, just going with the black coffee today. Got the old Keurig. You get your questions in, by the way. Again, I did my camp report, so anyone has questions, get them in. Happy birthday, Little Money. Yeah, appreciate that. Yes, tomorrow is his official birthday. We're going to the Marlins game today. My boys aren't doing too good. Lost a tough one yesterday, but yeah, big money, a little money. We call him E-money. Is gonna. I think he's having a big year. He told my wife yesterday. He's like, man, I can't wait for baseball season. I'm gonna cook this year. So you see, the confidence is is picking up. Had a big day. Had a big day in his scrimmage. He faced 9 batters. Struck out 6, two walks, and 2 hit by pitches and a walk. So no one was hitting him. He was throwing heat from the left side. We'll work on the control. I think he hit somebody in the head. Had to apologize to the mom via text. Hit somebody else on the foot and then walked the guy. But all 6 outs were via whiff. They caught one guy looking. So the swing and miss is there. It's hard to see that lefty kind of coming at you when you're a kid, and he's throwing pretty hard, throwing strikes. Just got to avoid the pitch to the guy's ear hole. You know, I don't want to. Maybe I have to teach him how to fight a little better if he's going to be hitting guys in the head every game. Kyle saying, yeah, can Lily Money pitch? He can pitch. He's mostly been center field and a little first. Now they're trying to work him in as a pitcher. So his pitching debuts this year. I'm excited about it. He's pumped up. Cam Ward inspired him, man. He's talking smack now. I think he came out of his shell. Kind of like Emery. Emery's coming out of his shell. Let's see. Oh, there we go. Canes Cat Heat 305 joining us. Will he be a freebie? Oh yeah. If he wants to go to the U, he'll be all day. He'll be like a Jake Dorn. You know, those lefties, they're always there. My man Night King, E-Money on the way to big things, man. Appreciate you. I haven't been at practice this weekend. I gotta hit you up. Text me. Let me know what's going on. I've been out running around, so let me know what's going on. Because you're the most plugged in guy in the chat, Night King, man. Don't sleep on Night King. He knows exactly what's going on out there. But yeah, it's a fun time. It's gonna be a fun game week. Let me give love to one of our sponsors here while we're waiting for my man to join us on the chat. That's gonna be Duffy's Tavern, Miami. This is an institution, right? This is a place. It's not the Duffy's chain that you see all over the place. This is a West Miami staple, going back to Jim Kelly, going back to Bernie Kosar, Craig Erickson. These guys all been through those walls. Jerome Brown. There you see it right there. Now accepting credit cards. Yes, really. Didn't accept credit cards for a while. They're getting with the times. So if you got a credit card or you stopped doing at Duffy's because you didn't carry cash, they're taking credit cards. Duffy's Tavern. The classic Death Dog they had forever. They're serving that up there. Wings, all the stuff. Got some great pretzel bites that I was slamming the other day. The burgers, all that kind of stuff. Come for the burgers, stay for the stories. No excuses. Duffy's Tavern. Shout out to Jose. Shout out to Junior. Shout out to the whole team, man. Appreciate what those guys do. Great partner. Did a show there Friday. Going to do a show there this week. Just love it out there at Duffy's. Question from Steven Posada. Is the defensive staff more aligned? Yes, I think so. It's hard to say. It's kind of like Mike Tyson, right? It's everybody's got a plan until they get hit in the mouth. So, I don't know until we see it. And I'm being honest. But when I talk to people, the answer I get is yes. I'm hearing a lot of great feedback on the defensive backs coaches in particular. Obviously, that was a big weakness, the biggest weakness on the team last year. And I think, yes, we've upgraded the talent on defense in the defensive backfield. Anybody's going to look better with Lucas and with Brown getting healthy and Ethan O'Connor and Zechariah Poyser. Yeah, they're going to make any coach look better than what we had last year. But separate from that, I'm hearing that the coaches are tight. You already see Etheridge and Will Harris kind of working together. I see them out there. They're engaged. They're in great shape, man. They look like they can go out there and play, but they're engaged. They're communicating, and then the unit's playing better. And I'm talking to people around the program. That's a message I get, is that, yeah, this defensive staff is ready. They're doing a great job, and so far so good. But we'll find out when someone gives up a touchdown, when adversity strikes. It's kind of when you really find out what you have. I wish I could tell you that it for sure is going to be this way. I don't know, but is the buzz in that direction? Absolutely. Steve Jones, shout out in Hutchinson Island. We got all over that. We're from Thailand. We're in Hutchinson Island. We're in South Florida. Raising Cane saying good morning from the Panhandle. So 12:35 is the Panhandle Central Time. I always forget. Are you guys at still 11:35, or are you guys at noon like us? Anyway, shout out to the Panhandle. Beautiful beaches. I'm dying to get up there. I don't spend enough time up there unless I'm going to see FSU, which I will be at the FSU game this year. So I'll be seeing you guys. JR Barr representing the 954, saying Carson Beck will not have jitters. He's done it against bigger and better teams. That I totally agree with. there's going to be no issue there. This guy's 24-3 SEC stadiums. I mean, this is a home game, right? He's going against the freshman quarterback. This guy's gone against the best players in the world, going against Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis in practice. So, this is no deal. He said West Italy, so we're still 11:35. All right. Well, good morning to everybody in the Panhandle. Good, whatever it is, to my boy Sean in Thailand. I don't even know what's going on. Brandon Brock saying, what's going on with Luke Nickel after the first scrimmage? There were a lot of bugs about him. Haven't heard, or buzz about him. Haven't heard anything since. How's he looking? I like Luke Nickel. I'm a Luke Nickel fan. I like the ease with which he plays. He's a natural guy who feels the pocket. He can step up. He can play on the run. He's a very athletic quarterback, more so than people think. Not going to run a ton, although he did run in high school when he needed to. But the guy's going to step up in the pocket, kind of move around and do that in a natural, easy way. He doesn't look awkward doing it. He looks very natural and instinctive in that. Throws a good ball, aggressive. He'll throw a pick and then he'll come back and throw it right back. So that's what I like the most about him, the short memory. I think he's just a guy that needs reps. When it's okay to be that aggressive when you're learning, but obviously when you are that aggressive when you're learning, there will be mistakes. That's just part of being an aggressive player that doesn't know everything. You got to kind of test your limits a little bit. Maybe there's some of that going on. Also, he doesn't necessarily always play with the best players. Like, he's there with the walk-ons a lot as a young player, a young quarterback. So, all respect to those guys. They get us ready to play. But from a timing standpoint, it's different when, Josh Moore, you could throw up anything and he's going to catch it. 50-50 balls and he's catching them. It's different when the 50-50 balls aren't quite as doable, right? But you're still that aggressive guy by nature. So I think with Nickel, when he continues to move forward and get more experience and play with better teams, you'll see more with him. Clizzy saying, get Williams on the field at safety. Let's rotate all developed players at every position, putting developed skill sets on the field while also playing players who are capable. Well, look, talking about Markeith Williams, he's got plenty of experience. He started the bowl game last year, I believe. He started the bowl game the year before, I think, with Cam Kitchens opting out. So he's played a lot of football. I think that's going to be his strength, is that even though he's new in this defense, he's like everybody else. He's an experienced player. And, I think he's going to have a chance to really help us as a backup who's experienced, who's matured a lot, who's gained a lot of weight. He's still not going to look like Sean Taylor back there size-wise, but he's gotten weight. He used to be really skinny. Now he's playable with his size, and he's a good pass defender, can make plays on the ball. So, Markeith Williams, I'm excited to see him help us here. Night King saying that Luke Nickel's my guy. He'd be a starter anywhere else. Again, Night King's out there. So Night King is not someone who's just talking a talk, watching huddle highlights. Night King, my boy number 8, the legendary number 8, is out there seeing these guys. So that's a practice observer. That's not me telling you Luke's his guy. Luke would be a starter everywhere else. Sean Andrews saying it's 11:30 p.m. in Thailand. I watch football from midnight till noon. Man, that's crazy. But good for you, man. It's an interesting lifestyle. Then you sleep all day, and then with that beautiful sun, what's going on? Thailand. I got to get out there. Lord Baconton asking, you think Darian Coleman can come in here and start as a freshman next year? Possibly. I don't think so. I wouldn't bet on it. It'd be a hell of a job if he did. He'd be a phenom if he did. But, I mean, there's no set person right now. So we'll find out. I think my opinion is always, I love getting these portal quarterbacks. It's like a cheat code to me because they get their reps out and their learning curve and their learning pains out with another team. And then you get them after that. So another team has to suffer through the learning curve, and you get them past learning curve. So to me, that's a good deal, because when you're a quarterback going through learning curves and growing pains, the whole team goes through it with you. Like if you're a linebacker and you're going through growing pains, yeah, you might give up a play here or there, get out of your gap and hurt the team. But it's not like the whole team is going through the growing pain with you. Like when you're the quarterback, it's like the whole team has to dumb down the offense. The whole team has to suffer through the turnovers. Like it changes your whole dynamic. And it's a lot easier to skip that step when you like have a guy who's played, right? You don't have to wait for him to go through it. He's already gone through it. So I think that's why I like portal quarterbacks. J.R. Barr saying it's going to be a quarterback destination. If we put another highly drafted quarterback in the NFL, I think it'll be the destination. It'll be like Lincoln Riley. I think it's better than Lincoln Riley because the offensive line's there. Lincoln Riley doesn't come with the offensive line, as Caleb Williams found out, as Miller Moss found out this year. The offensive line is not guaranteed. Whereas here, it's pretty much guaranteed. And if you're a quarterback that's a veteran and you know what you're doing, and you have a Carson Beck, obviously Dawson is a huge help to him as a great offensive coordinator. But I think more than a great offensive coordinator, what Carson Beck needs is protection and a running game. You're going to have that here. Same with Ward. I mean, Ward, yes, Dawson helped Ward a lot. It was a great system. He's been in a similar system, but that's not what made Cam Ward elevate his game. It was the protection. It was the fact that he could wait in the pocket for hours and do what he does because he had protection and he had a running game. Steve-O saying, smash that like button, man. If I knew I was running a marathon like this, I would have kept you on longer. Hop on if you're still around, man. Let's get this thing rolling, man. I need help out here. Burstone saying, how long you running this marathon? Finna pull more people in. I'm working. I'm trying to get one guest in particular if I can stretch it before I go to this Marlins game to watch it. Yeah, Josh is saying we're on a solo hurricane. 2 hours and 14 minutes, man. We're rolling. You guys are running the marathon with me, man, because you guys are out here listening. So appreciate you guys. Raising Kane asking, do you feel Emory can learn more from Beck than Cam? I feel Beck's got a similar build and style. Just feel Emory's putting a ton of work in the system. Got to take the training wheels off. I think it's interesting. Obviously, different types of players, different types of games. But I thought Emory learned a lot from Cam. Cam was great for Emory. Cam was really good to Emory from what I understand. Just like a really good person to have in the room. And then, obviously Emory, you're going to learn being around a player that good, a player that smart. I think he did. I don't know if he learned the talking from Cam, but he's been talking a lot more this Cam, running around, kind of doing that aspect. So yeah, it's I think Beck will help him too. And I think it's pretty cool seeing Beck and him because they have a good dynamic. They talk, they have fun. They're very much they seem very friendly, at least just from like watching it. They seem like they're friends. So I don't think there's any kind like sometimes it's like, the Aaron Rodgers thing where he's like, I don't need to teach these guys. Like I don't sense that from Beck, man. Beck seems like he's pretty locked in. So and Beck is comfortable and having fun. Kane's got saying, where's Sebastian? Oh, there we go. Steve-O's back. Coming in with the save. How you doing?
Doing good, man. Just had a little break, walk my dog. I was listening in, commented. You're like, get on. I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing nothing.
Tag you in, man. All right. Well, you've been listening nonstop, so give me a break. Let me drink this coffee. What's on your mind right now?
I love what's going on in the chat when it comes to people are talking about when the loft and stuff, and there's some things there. I know you believe that his NFL future is in the backfield. I know you had a piece like that, but college future right now is playmaker. So getting plenty of exposure to touches. So I'm very what's good, Flo. So I'm very excited for how we use him this year. There's been a lot of Beck talk. I get it. I think there's been some Emory talk, and I think I could put it all together right now is, when it comes to this offense, obviously I don't expect us to be more explosive than when we had with Cam Ward, but there was a lot of plays that Cam Ward didn't take within the offense so that he could further make some crazier plays down the line. I think Carson Beck makes those plays. So when people say we're going to be more efficient as an offense, that's not like, oh my God, we're going to be better than Cam Ward, but some of the times that, taking what the defense gives us might be a little bit more relative this year with just Carson Beck because he plays a little bit more within that system. But yeah, take that easy check down, which would, negate some of those plays. But hey, when you have a player like Cam Ward, obviously he went number one for a reason. So you don't want to restrict his ability to make plays. But you do wish on some of those times that it went the other way.
Yeah, by the way, appreciate you. Hit that like button, like and subscribe. About 2,100 on, man. So they heard Steve was coming back, so they came through. What's up, Rashad? What's up to the villains? Yeah, I think so. That's a fight on the Canes Inside message board, which is why I said it, because everybody's always saying like, we're gonna be more like people are talking about more efficient, and then they're fighting. I don't like the word efficient because when Cam throws a bomb and he completes it, not a bomb, but when he throws it down the field and he completes it, that's efficient, right? It's a lot of yards in one pass, and he hit a lot of those home runs, right? So if you look at the literal efficiency, we were the most efficient offense in the country, yards per attempt, yards per play, so that's not the word I use. But the way you're using it, I agree, which is like, he's not going to be hunting that big play. Beck is. It's not his game. The big play will come naturally from him to check down. Look, a check down to Mark Fletcher with 10 yards in front of him, that's not just a 10-yard play. I mean, he can run that guy over, break a tackle, and that's a 50-yard play. So you get big plays that way as well. You talked about Lofton, which is one of my favorite topics because he's, to me, one of the most interesting players I've ever watched. And I always thought, were you at the practice when he ran, the big scrimmage when he ran? There was a take it to the ground scrimmage.
Yeah.
I mean, people hear me talk about Lofton, like, stop hyping this guy up, all this nonsense, because they haven't seen him run. You saw him run. Like, would you agree with me when I say this guy could be one of the top running backs in the ACC straight up, like just running the football?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to it, he has just natural instincts to make that cut and get through the hole. And then he's a hard tackle. He really is. He has a solid frame, but he's juiced up more than this frame. You know what's crazy is that scrimmage, when I saw him, he looks like an old school Cane running back. Like, let me not say old school. Not even that. Y'all remember Cheon Gray, Chalk? He looks like Chalk, who had that size, but had that ability to just really burst through. And you were like, oh my God, like this guy for his size can move. And when you see Lofton, tote the rock, it's just like, yeah, this looks good. It just looks good. It looks clean from the exchange to the point, to the contact, to the finish of the contact. It just looks good. I mean, I love where he's going to be at now, that H-back, tight end slot, getting a lot of gimmick touches. A lot of people say, oh, he could be the Brock Bowers. I don't like to do comparisons, but obviously we're going to use him in some ways similar to that. But yeah, he definitely can tote the rock, especially, if we didn't have this deep of a backfield, I think it would be more of a talked about how he was in the backfield taking. If you didn't have a crazy two-headed combo with some young guys chipping at the playing time as well, I think that would be a thing, necessity. He would be playing more running back.
Yeah, you mentioned just the naturalness. By the way, shout out to Austin Thomas. Shout out to Kellen Wiley Sr. in the chat. The naturalness of him, like, he is very patient when he runs, man. He is a patient runner. He's not just out there just hitting it hard, trying to run people over, man. He sets guys up. Oh, wait, we had a guest in a second for the chat. Let's see if he gets back in here. Let's see. Saw you come back in. But yeah, man. By the way, shout out to Flo. I saw him in the comments. I'll be on his show. If I don't lose my voice here, I'll be on his show. I want to say like 8:50. I want to say 9 later on. Yeah. Are you on that one too? Because he's got a marathon too, man. He does this whole preseason deal.
I gotta check his Discord to see if but not to my knowledge, but I'll pop in and say it was good. Yeah,
man. Well, listen, I appreciate you on here walking the dog, getting your workout in, and then coming back with the hot tag. Let's do this topic, man, because I want to talk about this because it's been in the chat. Talk about South Florida high school football. Yeah, let's talk about it because I'll be honest with you. I made this, and I'm the biggest South Florida football homer there is, period, point blank, whether it's quarterback, any position. In my opinion, since 2018, let's say 2018, 2019, right? That's like Pastor Tan. Remember we had like a year where there were so many cornerbacks, it was just off the charts, and DBs. I don't think it's been that good. By the way, Crash Light, man, appreciate you always. You're the man. Appreciate all your support. We do some big things here in the future, Crash Light. Appreciate you. But yeah, it's like since that 2018-19 era, in my opinion, 2020 that was the Restrepo year. Obviously, he panned out real good, but like that was kind of down a little bit. 2021, you had like I thought that was going to be the all-time greatest class, and you had Dallas Turner, Cam Kitchens, James Williams, and Leonard Taylor are starting to come on. They didn't really do the high school thing or the college thing. Jason Marshall, kind of the same thing. Maybe they'll get it done in the pros more than they did in college. But since that era, I felt we've been down. Are you seeing that? And if so, tell me why I'm wrong.
I get it. I think it's not. I don't think it's the talent. I think it's a culture crisis with some of these kids across South Florida. I mean, some of these kids are just not. They're too entitled and they want everything handed to them. And that's why they don't pan out at the next level. Down here in high school and in Little League, yeah, they're going to give you what you want. But the biggest lie we tell to these kids growing up because they're that good is, the best man will play. No, these guys' jobs are on the line. They're going to play who they trust. They're going to play who's put the work in. They're going to play who's shown them that they're going to be in position time after time again, even if that natural talent isn't better than someone underneath. So I think that's kind of the epidemic right now with some of the culture of some of these kids, the whole transfer portal in high school is crazier than transfer portal in the college. You think college is crazy, man? These guys are playing 2-3 games with a team and transferring over to a school, playing the next week. Like, yo, this is wild. Like, this is
an optimist.
Yeah, and it's an optimist, and not that I'm not gonna snitch on nobody, but you got a sixth grader who got a Miami offer. Bam, he's gonna be the best player in the nation in 2032. I mean, Bam? Bam is
Is he the same age? I heard. What's the guy? Lil Rod.
Lil Rod's a little younger. I think he's 1 year younger or maybe 1 year older. It's one of those. But Bam has won like 4 Super Bowls. Whoever Bam, because he's highly recruited. Whoever Bam's playing on is winning a Super Bowl, and it's like that. I coached him with 12 hit squad 12U. And yeah, he's like that. Has a Miami offer. Shout out to my boy Frank putting in that work with some of these youngins. But South Florida, I get it. People are panning, but some of these guys are panning elsewhere. So the talent's been there. The talent's going to continue to stay here. It's just, are some of these guys being led to success with their habits? And things like that, because you get pampered for so long. You're in South Florida, you're a star, you're this, you're that. You have all the fame in the world. I mean, some of these South Florida kids have more clout than NFL guys. I mean, guys like CJ and, Nick Lanier, guy that we're hot on 27. I mean, or, Amir Sears. This guy, he's a freshman in high school with more, clicks than, NFL guys. So I think a little bit of that is mixed in, and that's why you're seeing there's not as much performance on the next level. But I think we'll be all right. Coming in shortly at 27 and 28, you'll see probably one of the highest rated guys, coming out and actually panning out. I think we're going to be young this South Florida. I know this topic is going on because of our national performance over the last couple of days versus some out of, Cali schools and stuff like that. But they're kind of, they caught us at the right time. The trenches weren't good, and a lot of the outside playmakers, Chaminade's relying on a 13-year-old quarterback. A lot of 28 guys with some talent, but they're not there yet for that big game. Same thing with St. Thomas Young. The trenches is always going to be uphill battle when you battle these out-of-state guys. But the talent's there with South Florida. I don't think we've fallen off, but we do need to produce a little bit more at the collegiate level to match the talent that's coming out.
Appreciate you giving the breakdown, Steve-O, and much anticipated. Listen, Street, we're at 2 hours and 26 minutes right now, and when you said you were coming on, which you were, it was not scheduled, so it's not saying for you. I'm pointing out that's how important you are to this operation. That my wife was bringing me coffee, she was bringing me water, she was bringing me the James Brown towel so I can get the sweat off my head to make sure that we were online when you were ready to roll.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that.
So appreciate you joining us. Steve-O's breaking it down right now. Do you know Steve-O?
I know Steve-O, man. I love to hear Steve-O talk, get in depth about football, man.
Yeah, we're talking about right now, just as you pop in, the South Florida football situation, right? And we're a little tight, so we'll do a short one today, just because I gotta go to this game with my son. But
okay,
about the South Florida high school football situation, not a great weekend. You had the comeback with Heritage, the almost comeback with St. Thomas, the Chaminade getting blown out, and just not looking very big, not looking very, very up to par in some of these games. So, Steve-O's saying, wait, right? We got some guys coming down the road. It's just that they're catching us at a young age. What are you seeing with South Florida high school football as we struggle a little bit on the national stage?
I think you know what? I think that the talent is here. Is always going to be here, right? Like there are always going to be guys coming down the pipeline. I think that's a given thing. I was at Chaminade last night, St. Francis. That's a big St. Francis team, and they're always pretty. So you're going to have to be able to tackle them at the point of contact, and things of that nature. I just believe that. I think the culture in South Florida has changed. It's changing. I think some of the old school coaching was a lot harder, was a lot more disciplined. And I think things are changing around I think things are changing around the whole coaching. Coaches are getting younger. The relationships with the kids are becoming different. And I think what made South Florida great in the past was the hard coaching and the talent, right? Because we were never bigger than anybody. I'm saying that was never our thing. We were never larger than them. I think it was the hard coaching, and I think it was the talent. And so I believe it. I believe it comes back to kind of like because we don't have. When you think about coaching, right? You think about X's and O's, but those teams come here with staffs that a lot of times being paid. Mm-hmm. They're bigger staffs. So I think we were always at a loss when it came to that. But the discipline and the hard coaching that kind of shaped what South Florida football was about, I think I'm not sure if it's still completely here. I'm not sure if you can still completely do it that way, but that's what I see. I think we always won because of the grit and the passion that our kids play with.
Yeah, it's like the size you mentioned it. I mean, our guys got big in college. That St. Francis team, those guys look like college already, right? Yeah. With some of those dudes. You know the scene, and STEVO knows the scene. STEVO's saying, be patient. There's guys in the cut. There's guys on the horizon. They're going to really elevate this thing. I mean, even going back to like 6th grade. I mean, just young guys, but also 26, 27. You talked about Frank Tucker. He told me the same thing. STEVO, when from University of Miami, formerly the Crib Media, he told me the same thing. He goes, wait, we got guys coming. Do you see that as well, Street, where there's some guys in the pipeline that you're like, these are going to be the Jeremiah Smiths of the world, the Ruben Baines, the ones that really carry the torch?
Do you know we're older guys, right? Steve-O's a younger guy, right? They're always yes. You got kids that are coming. You got Rock, and you got a little the kid at the Ravens right now, the running back who may be the best player in the country. You know what I'm saying?
Which was that? Is that Bam? Which was that? Who's that one?
Well, you got Bam. You know what I'm saying?
Another one. I was telling about Bam. I was telling about Bam.
Right. No, there are always kids coming. There are always kids. There are always kids coming. But I think we're seeing. But I think we're watching something that took a long time to happen. But a shift in power in high school. I think private schools are becoming. You know what I'm saying? They're becoming the more of the power. It took a long time, but it eventually got there. But there are guys coming. I mean, in South Florida, don't ever let anybody tell you that, oh, the talent is down, or they'll try to separate the counties and the talent is down in Dade, but it's in Broward. Man, when I created Footballville, like I I never separated them two things because y'all know that a lot of the kids in Broward are from Dade. You know what I'm saying? Like a Dade, it just intersects with each other. Then you get a kid like you take Bush, the linebacker, played for Flanagan. His whole family grew up in Dade, and he ended up. Daddy went to the pros. They made money. They moved up north. He was raised in Broward. Right. So it all goes together. It's all the same thing to me. And when you put those two counties together, they're always going to be next guys. Right. They're always going to be next guys. I just think, man, with technology and coaching, those staffs that they have coming from those other places where they get coaches getting $100,000 a year, $140,000 a year, and they got guys getting paid on their staffs. I think that's taking a toll. And then the fact that we don't, the culture of coaches coaching the kids really, really hard, and that discipline, that grit that we had to play with in order to beat those bigger guys with the bigger staffs. I think that kind of the edge is kind of not there right now.
I know when you pull up the Marine photo, you're talking about we got to be tough. So you're sending the message right there.
You really can't coach these kids that hard because they'll leave. They'll transfer. You could transfer during the season. I mean, they can't. They are allergic to tough coaching. They are allergic to reality checks. And so some of these coaches in high school, they have to now live with this world of walking on eggshells with your own kids because they could literally get up and leave. And it's not like there's a destined, window for like in college where, okay, at this, we know they could enter at this point. They could enter at this point. They could leave up to 4 games into the season already playing. And you see kids huddle with 2-3 different teams on in their senior season. And it's just like, oh my God. So yeah, the discipline is not there because as soon as the first side of adversity hits, they could just leave. And with no repercussions, no nothing, just gone. So yeah, I do think
I saw a transfer graphic come up yesterday. No, you're right. I mean, I saw one come up yesterday. Yeah.
So it's just it teaches these kids to run, and then when they get to the next level, some of these kids with that talent that really could shine with some discipline and structure, they want to play now. And guess what they do? They jump in the portal. And that's why we get the diva, mentality. A lot of people call our guys divas and stuff like that. But it comes with the way that, with them just being able to leave on the stop of a dime. Same thing with Little League. Like there's Little League kids right now getting their rent paid for their parents. So because they're playing Little League on a certain team.
Wow. Yeah.
Like it's wild. Like it's legit wild. And it's definitely, hurt the stability of their long-term ceiling. I think it's just too much of a shock to their system when they get to programs. That's why the St. Thomas's of the world, even though they lost, and Streeter was talking about the power going back to the private schools, is because they have the extra money to put those resources in and extra staffs, and they have those resources that a lot of public schools don't have. And without that ability to be iron hand on those kids, like the public schools have been since I was growing up, and before that, that's how we're losing that edge, that kind of South Florida chip on our shoulder. You're not seeing it as much, but the talent, like we said, the talent is there. It's always going to be on the pipeline. But I think what I'm excited about the most is a lot of these younger kids don't really have that, since they get exposed to this media and they're superstars before. I think like a lot of these 27s and 28s are getting really more comfortable with navigating through that, through that fame that they get from, being in shorts and shirt, playing at OT7, and now they got fans everywhere and stuff. They're able to navigate that a little bit more. So I'm excited for some of these kids coming up, just because like, okay, this social media stuff didn't blow up right in front of them. They kind of grew up with it. So I'm happy to see some progress with how these kids are going to navigate it.
So listen, we're at 2 hours, 35 minutes, almost 20. We got over 2,300 on for these two legends. I wish I could roll this one for an hour, but I got to cut it short because I got to ride out to take my kid to his birthday Marlins game here. But let's get you guys signing off. Final thoughts. Let them know where they can find you, and we'll do this again. It's Sunday, man. We got a whole week of this getting ready for Notre Dame. So let's start with STEVO, then Streeter. Let them know where they find you, and give us a final thought as we get out of here.
You guys know on the YouTube and on the social media, it's 365 Canes Football, and I just hope you guys have a blessed week, man. Get ready for it. We'll be pumping out content, as you guys know, it's game week, and it hits different when it's opening week versus Notre Dame. This isn't the versus Bethune opening, or no disrespect to any other times, but this is go time.
All right, man. Check me out on Footballville. I mean, you can just Google Footballville. If you want to become a villain, the link is in the Twitter, top of the Twitter. Or you can just text us 786-405-9499, and we'll see the link to become a villain. That's where we do all our insider info about the Hurricanes and everything we know about the Hurricanes. Presenting things from the way we know it. I mean, we do media a little different the way we know how to do media. We didn't go to school for none of this stuff and taught none of this. But you can follow us on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, wherever. We got over maybe 900,000 followers, man. So check us out, bro.
Yeah, we all came through the back door on the media thing in this conversation right now. So hey, that's how it's good. I love it. I love it though. So I appreciate all you guys. I'll see you guys probably on the flow thing later on today. And we got game week, man. This is Sunday. We got 7 days of this. So we'll do it again. One more time next time, Street. I'm telling you, that's how important you are to the operation, man. I never gone 2 hours like this. We kept it going just to make sure I get you on here.
Next week, man. I'll jump on with you sometime during the week, bro. I see you every time you're on. I'll jump on with you.
Yeah, appreciate you, STEVO. Appreciate everybody in the chat, man. Almost 2,400, man. That's what happens when you bring together this kind of firepower on a Sunday afternoon. But it's game week, so we got to do it. Like and subscribe. Go Canes.
You.